Reborn, I open my eyes and see a stunning woman, it's exhilarating. Because my girlfriend demanded a bride price of 388,000 while I was driving, I accidentally got into an accident. When I opened my eyes, I saw a stunning woman. Chen then realized he was only 18 years old. With 11 more years of future than others, Chen embarked on a path to the pinnacle of life, surrounded by countless beautiful confidantes and wealth beyond measure. Late at night, a car was driving fast on the highway. Chen, let me say it one last time. Without a gift of 388,000 yuan, I can't marry you. A woman's voice came from the other end of the phone. Is it? Isn't our relationship for so many years worth 388,000 yuan? Chen said angrily. Feelings? Can feelings be eaten? In the future, our lives, children, education, houses, which one doesn't cost money? The woman's voice suddenly became louder. Chen was silent. Indeed, he did not have such great ability now. But, am I not working hard too? Besides, I have only graduated from graduate school for 4 years. Chen replied. Wow. Your monthly salary of just over 20,000 or 30,000 yuan is not enough for anything. The woman raised her voice. But, don't you only make more than 5,000 yuan a month? Chen replied. Don't you know how difficult it is for a woman to earn 5,000? Besides, you are a man, but you are still thinking about a woman's money. Are you still a man? The woman got angry the moment she heard this. Finally, she threw a sentence. Chen, don't think that you are great just because you earn 20,000 or 30,000 a month. Today, there is a man with an annual income of 1 million who wants to pursue me. Beep beep. Beep beep beep. After venting her dissatisfaction, the woman hung up the phone. Only Chen on the other end of the phone stood there blankly. Am I really so unbearable? Chen's chest suddenly felt a little tight. It has only been 4 years since I graduated from graduate school. Now my monthly salary is 35,000. With the year-end bonus, it is about 500,000 a year. However, although I seem to earn a lot, after deducting the mortgage and car loan, there is not much left. Moreover, the most unfortunate thing is that the house I bought 2 years ago was at the highest point of the housing price. Now the housing price has begun to plummet, but my mortgage has not been reduced much. After all, my family is an ordinary family. Since I went to college, I came to the big city to work hard. I need to work hard for everything. But I seem to be a real failure. Just when Chen was thinking about it, suddenly, a sharp turn appeared on the opposite side. A dazzling white light shot in. Boom boom. Boom boom. Chen lost consciousness instantly. Where is this? Chen shook his head. Chen, are you okay? A woman's voice. What? Why, so white, so soft? Chen shook his head and opened his eyes with difficulty. What came into view was the pair of snow-white proud breasts, followed by the face of a woman who was a little frightened. Chen, you're awake. The woman patted her chest when she saw Chen wake up. Chen smelled the faint perfume on the woman's body and felt the woman's skin as white as snow. Am I in heaven? Chen said intermittently. Chen, you kid, what nonsense are you talking about? The woman saw Chen talking weirdly. Then, where is this place? Chen asked while leaning on the woman's arms. This is in the driving school. Practicing driving. The woman blinked her eyes, revealing a little bit of charm from time to time. Driving school. Practicing driving. Chen was a little confused when he heard it. Hasn't he been able to drive for a long time? Wait, I learned to drive during the summer vacation of my senior year in high school. Auntie, what year is it now? Chen got up and asked quickly. Child, are you shocked? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? The woman put the back of her hand on Chen's forehead. Cold and soft. Auntie, I'm fine. Tell me what time it is now, is it 2013? Chen held the woman's hand and said anxiously. Oh. Young man, you are so impatient. Don't be anxious. The woman held Chen's hand and said to him. Wait, tell me first, is it 2013 now? Yes. Oh. Young man, don't always worry about what time it is now. Now, the instructor is not here, there are only 2 of us in the whole driving school. The woman's white arms hugged Chen's neck. Putting her hand on Yi Chen's forehead, she said, "Brother, have you just graduated from high school? Studying in high school must have been very hard." The young woman played with her hair. "Brother, how is it? Is sister pretty?" Zheng Xinyan's face became more and more red, with two rosy clouds on it, and her face was as red as a ripe peach. Yi Chen swallowed his saliva. "I was going to refuse, after all, I was a good person in my previous life. However, when I thought about how miserable I was in my previous life, I was furious. Besides, I was reborn. If I was still so timid, what's the point of rebirth?" Chapter 2. When I was young, I always thought that fairies lived in heaven. When I grew up, I knew that fairies lived in private rooms. After some intense discussions between Yi Chen and Zheng Xinyan, Yi Chen looked at Zheng Xinyan lying in his arms, thinking about his girlfriend in his previous life. After spending so much money, he still had to pay a gift of 388,000 yuan. In the end, let alone sleeping, they didn't even kiss. It was frustrating to think about it. Yi Chen looked out the window thoughtfully, and suddenly asked, "Sister, do you have cigarettes?" "Yo-yo, you just graduated from high school and you can smoke." Zheng Xinyan was obviously a little surprised that Yi Chen could smoke. After all, they had practiced driving together for so many days, and Yi Chen had never smoked, and he could remain indifferent to her teasing so many times. However, just now, because of a small mistake, she accidentally stepped on the brakes, the car body shook violently, and Yi Chen was knocked unconscious. After waking up, he felt like a different person. However, Zheng Xinyan did not think much about it. After all, maybe Yi Chen was more reserved before, but now he has come to his senses. However, it must be said that at the age of less than 20, he is really fierce. "Here, brother." Zheng Xinyan's slender fingers held a cigarette and handed it to Yi Chen's mouth. Then, she picked up the lighter and lit the cigarette for Yi Chen. Yi Chen smoked and looked at the sky in the distance. Sure enough, the sky 10 years ago seemed to be blur. At this time, Yi Chen was very sure that he had been reborn, and it was not long after the college entrance examination. Then, he spit out the smoke rings on Zheng Xinyan's face. Zheng Xinyan said with a look of enjoyment, "Brother, I can't tell. You are still a veteran." Yi Chen said lightly, "Not bad." He picked up the cigarette with his right hand, stretched it out of the car, and pointed the ash with his index finger. The ash drifted away with the wind. What was taken away was the sadness of Yi Chen's previous life. Now, Yi Chen is facing the most critical problem. What do I want in this reborn life? Money, I want a lot of money. Not only do I want money, I also want women, I want a lot of women. From now on, I will have all the fine wines in the world, I will enjoy all the delicacies in the world, and I will have all the beauties in the world. I have had enough of the days without money and power in my previous life. Now I am reborn, relying on living 11 years longer than people in this era. Moreover, these 10 years are also the era of economic boom. Even a pig can take off in the wind, let alone myself. Looking at the whole world, who will be my opponent? As for love, besides, because in this life, I am destined not to be treated as a licking dog like in the previous life, and finally be scolded. Dogs, TMD, are all directly on, only those who keep licking their are real dogs. In my previous life, I was already in my early 30s, so how could I still believe in so-called love like my 18-year-old self? No matter how touching the love is, it is not worth mentioning in the face of reality. If you think you can get breasts and thighs by relying on feelings at the age of 30, it is too ridiculous. When I was young, I always thought that fairies lived in heaven, but when I grew up, I knew that fairies lived in private rooms. Thinking of this, "Sister, are you still not satisfied?" Yi Chen looked at Zheng Xinyan and said, "Brother, how did you see that?" "Because I can read my sister's heart." Yi Chen took a puff of cigarette and said, "Oh my brother's mouth is so sweet." Zheng Xinyan said coquettishly. Yi Chen did not reply, but continued to smoke. It must be said that the body of an 18-year-old is really full of energy and amazing. Looking back on my previous life, I never experienced this kind of passion until the end of my life, which is really a pity. In this life, I must make full use of this reborn body and enjoy the beauty of life. At this time, Zheng Xinyan was like a newly blooming flower, delicate and beautiful. She shyly buried her head deeply in Yi Chen's broad and warm embrace, and her pretty face full of blushing looked more and more lovable. As expected, Women are like delicate flowers. If they are not given enough nourishment and care in time, they will gradually wither and die. Only by watering and fertilizing them at the right time and taking care of them carefully can these flowers bloom in the most colorful posture. There is no way, who makes me a good person? Yi Chen gently kissed Jing Xinyan, who was shy and blushing. Jing Xinyan closed her eyes and took the initiative to meet him. At this time, a man's voice sounded from behind the car. Yi Chen, how's the car training going? Chapter 3. Each takes what he needs. Damn, the coach is here. Yi Chen quickly opened his eyes, pulled up his pants, and put on his clothes. Compared to Yi Chen's haste and panic, Jing Xinyan was much calmer. She pulled down her hip skirt and returned to the driving position. Took out the lipstick, took out the small mirror, calmly touched up her makeup, and pursed her lips. Well, Xiao Yi. How's the car training going? The coach came to the car window and asked. Well, coach, the training is okay. Yi Chen replied calmly. That's good. The coach nodded with satisfaction. Hey. Yi Chen. You too, why are you all sweaty? The coach found that Yi Chen and Jing Xinyan were soaked in sweat. Oh? Really, coach? Yi Chen smiled calmly, and then continued as if nothing had happened. Maybe it's because the weather is too hot, so I sweat so much. Jing Xinyan sat next to him, and forced a smile on her face and agreed, yes, it's really hot today, my makeup is all ruined. After that, she quickly took out the foundation from her bag and quickly touched up her face in front of the mirror. Then, she turned to the coach and said, Coach, do you have anything to do with us? If there is nothing else, please don't disturb us from practicing, okay? Obviously, Jing Xinyan was very dissatisfied with the coach interrupting her and Yi Chen's good time. Okay, then I won't disturb you from practicing. The coach replied with a fake smile. However, when he turned around and walked away, his face became extremely gloomy, and he muttered viciously, You are just a bitch. One day, I will teach you a lesson and let you know how powerful I am. The coach spitted fiercely and left while cursing. At this time, Yi Chen instantly deduced from the coach's tone that Jing Xinyan's identity was not simple. Sister, why is this coach so respectful to you? Yi Chen looked at Jing Xinyan and said with a smile. A trace of helplessness flashed in Jing Xinyan's beautiful eyes. It's because my old man invested some money in this driving school center. Jing Xinyan said with a pursed mouth. Awesome. As expected. Having money is still the most awesome. Yi Chen's desire for money became even greater. Yi Chen's fingers tapped the seat, thinking. Suddenly, he thought of something. Sister, you and I were arranged in the same car. Was it you who arranged it? Yi Chen looked at Jing Xinyan and said. Oh, I didn't expect that, brother, you are quite smart. Jing Xinyan said with some surprise. Brother, tell me how you guessed it. Jing Xinyan's snow-white arms were placed on Yi Chen's shoulders, and her eyes flashed with curiosity. Yi Chen did not answer in a hurry, but said one sentence. Why, sister, do you want to know why too? Yi Chen looked at Jing Xinyan and said with a smile. Of course, why? Sister, have a cigarette. I'll tell you while smoking. Yi Chen looked straight at the sky outside the window. Okay, it has personality, sister likes it. After that, Jing Xinyan passed the cigarette to Yi Chen's mouth, and then lit it. Tell me. Brother. How do you see outsiders? Jing Xinyan asked while lying on Yi Chen's shoulder. Yi Chen took a puff of the cigarette, then turned his head and spit it on Jing Xinyan's face. Jing Xinyan was not angry at all, but enjoyed it. Sister, it's actually very simple, because I never told you my name from beginning to end. Yi Chen leaned out of the window, lit the cigarette ash and said. Oh. But, I didn't either. Jing Xinyan suddenly understood. Brother, you are really careful. Jing Xinyan said with a smile. Because Yi Chen remembered that he had never told Jing Xinyan his name, but when he just woke up after rebirth, she called his name, even though she kept calling him brother afterwards. However, he was not a teenager, so he would not notice these details. Plus, she had the right to speak in the driving school. All of this was explained. Yi Chen took another puff of cigarette and said, Sister, you even braked that time on purpose, right? Yi Chen looked at Jing Xinyan with interest and said. Seeing that he had been seen through by Yi Chen, Jing Xinyan did not hide it, but climbed to Yi Chen's position, took out the cigarette from Yi Chen's mouth, took a puff, spit it on Yi Chen's face and said, "Brother, you really make sister like you more and more." "Oh. Really? What does sister like about brother?" Yi Chen took advantage of the situation and hugged Jing Xinyan's slender waist like a willow branch. Jing Xinyan looked at the boy, who was only 18 years old at this time, and saw from Yi Chen's eyes that he was far more mature than boys of this age. "I didn't expect that my brother would be so flirting." Jing Xinyan licked her red lips with the tip of her pink tongue, lowered her head, and looked at Yi Chen's deep and mysterious eyes and said, "Really? Why, sister is so beautiful, hasn't anyone flirted with her sister?" Yi Chen said with a sunny smile. "Hey, what can sister do if she is beautiful? Isn't she still a widow every day?" Jing Xinyan said with a trace of resentment in her eyes. "Don't hang up, Jing Xinyan seduced me so much, and I feel that I have been a widow all the time. What a poor woman. She is in her youth, and should be full of vitality and passion, but she is like a flower forgotten by fate, no one cares about it, and cannot get the proper watering and nourishment." Looking at Jing Xinyan, who looked satisfied, Yi Chen felt extremely relieved. He had never thought that he would have such an experience. This feeling was really wonderful. Poor Jing Xinyan. She was in the best years of her life. She should have enjoyed the sweetness of love, the beauty of life and a happy life, but she had to live a widow's life early. Sure enough, it's better to be young. Jing Xinyan looked at Yi Chen and sighed in her heart. As for Yi Chen, to be honest, I also purely think that this is a transaction that is completely mutually beneficial. Jing Xinyan needs Yi Chen to make up for her emptiness for so many years. Yi Chen needs Jing Xinyan to vent his frustration and pleasure of conquest in his previous life. Either it is a pure physical transaction or a money transaction, or it is pure love. On the contrary, the love in his previous life was mixed with money. That is the most painful. Come on, sister, we are just a pure physical transaction, why should we mix it with other things? Enjoy the most primitive instinct of the body. Yi Chen glanced at Jing Xinyan with his eyes, mixed with coldness and blazing desire to conquer. Jing Xinyan looked at this 18-year-old boy and felt a hint of coolness from his eyes. However, Yi Chen was right. So, in the evening, the setting sun gradually sank to the west, and the sky was dyed orange-red. The sunset glow was like a gorgeous painting, slowly unfolding in the sky. They are in different shapes, some like floating ribbons, some like blooming flowers, and some like galloping horses, which are intoxicating. Chapter 4: The most powerful age meets the most powerful you. Time passed by minute by minute. The sun also fell below the horizon, leaving only a few rays of afterglow on the ground. Jing Xinyan said with a very rapid breath, "Brother, sister really likes you." Yi Chen did not answer, continued to smoke, and blew smoke rings to Jing Xinyan. Sure enough. Afterwards, a cigarette is better than a living god. Jing Xinyan looked at Yi Chen, who was very different from her age, and said, "Brother, this is sister's business card. If you have any problems in the future, you can call sister at any time if you want to ask sister for help." After that, Jing Xinyan took out a business card from her bag. However, Yi Chen did not accept it, but continued to smoke and look up at the sky. Because it is very simple. For Yi Chen, the reason why he met Jing Xinyan's needs is that he was frustrated in his previous life and was full of anger, and he just wanted to find someone to vent. Now, since he vented it. There is no need to have any contact with this woman. After all, my goal in this life is not to live in a small county town. According to my college entrance examination results, I can go to Jingjiang University, the best university in Jiangnan province. How could I have too much relationship with a woman? In the final analysis, money is real, and without money, nothing. Men are social animals. Money, power, and status are what a man should pursue most. As long as you have these things, you can have any woman you want. After Yi Chen finished smoking this cigarette, he tied his pants and prepared to leave. At this time, Jing Xinyan grabbed Yi Chen. Seeing Jing Xinyan holding his hand, Yi Chen thought Jing Xinyan was relying on him. Frowning and saying, "Auntie, the relationship between us is just a pure physical relationship, and you are also a family, okay?" Seeing Yi Chen say this, Jing Xinyan was not angry, but felt more and more interesting. The pink tip of her tongue licked her red lips, and she pursed her lips and said, "Brother, you are so cruel. When you were happy, you called me sister, but now that you are done, you call me auntie." "Auntie, no, sister, aren't you happy?" Jing Xinyan smiled and said, "Of course, brother, but in this way, we can only be happy this time." Don't we want happiness next time? Yi Chen then said, Sister, you should know that I will go to college in a while. Sister, of course I know it is, that's why I can't bear to leave you. Zheng Xinyan said in a coquettish voice. Oh. But, sister, there is no possibility for us. Yi Chen turned his head and looked at the sky that was gradually setting in the west. His own kingship has just begun, how could he be immersed in a woman's village? Don't worry, brother, you are just worried that your sister will rely on you. Zheng Xinyan picked up a cigarette, put it in her mouth, picked up a lighter, lit a cigarette and said. He exhaled smoke rings, filling the entire car. Yi Chen did not find any excuses, just nodded and said, That's right. Seeing Yi Chen's honesty, Zheng Xinyan tapped the ash, smiled and said, I like such an honest brother. Don't worry. I, your sister, will not pester you. Hearing Zheng Xinyan's words, Yi Chen's heart became more and more uneasy. 2 lives tell me that the less others want something, the more they want to take from you. Slightly narrowing his eyes, a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes, staring at Zheng Xinyan and said, Sister, it's better to be straightforward. Tell me directly, your real purpose. When he heard this, he looked at Yi Chen's eyes again, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Zheng Xinyan couldn't help but feel a little surprised. Is this an innocent student who just finished the college entrance examination? However, Zheng Xinyan recovered quickly, took a puff of cigarette and said, Brother, I said, sister has no other thoughts at all, do you believe it? What do you mean? Yi Chen frowned. As you said, between you and me, it is just pure physical needs. Zheng Xinyan tapped the ash and continued, It's just that I don't want to be happy only this time. Then put the cigarette butt into the ashtray. Yi Chen looked at Zheng Xinyan in surprise. He was still a little surprised by Zheng Xinyan's answer. Then, the plump and white arms hugged Yi Chen, and a head was on Yi Chen's chest and said, Brother, while you are at home, this summer vacation, can't we enjoy this happy time more? Just then, Yi Chen was ready to refuse. After all, I was reborn to be able to reach the peak of my life, and wait until I have money and power in the future. What kind of woman is there? Yes, Zheng Xinyan is very good, not only beautiful, but also alive. But, so what? There are plenty of women like this. It's just that I was such a waste in my previous life that I didn't enjoy it. In this life, I must become someone who can control my own destiny. Just when Yi Chen had already thought of the words to refuse, Yi Chen's peripheral vision swept across Zheng Xinyan's business card. As soon as he saw that it was written Wang Group. In Yi Chen's memory of his previous life, Wang Group was still quite powerful, and it might be useful for his future. Take it first. Although I was reborn, I must be able to rely on the help of others. Yi Chen came back to his senses, his eyes fell on Zheng Xinyan, who was full of resentment at the moment, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly, and he said jokingly, Sister, can your old man really not satisfy you? Yi Chen's words were a little teasing. Zheng Xinyan exhaled a puff of smoke, sighed helplessly, and then said, It was better before, it only took a month, but since he turned 60, it may not take a year to install it. Her tone revealed some dissatisfaction and resentment as she continued, now. Not even a minute. Yi Chen listened quietly to Zheng Xinyan's complaints, noticing that her eyes were full of resentment, and every little movement exuded a different kind of coquettish charm. Yi Chen thought, no wonder the old man knew that he couldn't, but still wanted to marry her home, maybe because of her unique coquettishness. It's just a pity that the old man is old after all, and he can't do it, so Yi Chen got a bargain. However, if it was 18-year-old Yi Chen, he might really be attracted to her and fall in love with her. After all, at the age of 18, which boy is not the time when physical needs are the strongest? It just so happens that the most powerful age meets the most powerful you. However, Yi Chen is no longer that young boy. Chapter 5 Rigorous. Okay. Sister, I promise you, Yi Chen said, pretending to be extremely reluctant. Really? Originally, Zheng Xinyan thought that Yi Chen would not agree, but unexpectedly. When she thought that she could again, Zheng Xinyan's face turned red again. Well, otherwise, you should take the business card. Zheng Xinyan said, looking at Yi Chen's handsome face. Okay. Yi Chen said with a pout, pretending to be indifferent. After seeing Yi Chen agreed, Zheng Xinyan smiled and put the business card in Yi Chen's pocket. But I have a request. Yi Chen looked at Zheng Xinyan and said. You said, as long as your sister can satisfy you, your sister will agree to you. Zheng Xinyan put her head on Yi Chen's shoulder and whispered in Yi Chen's ear. First, you and I are just simply engaging in a physical transaction, each taking what we need. Right? Yi Chen turned his head and said to Zheng Xinyan. The two were close to each other. Hum tilde oh, Zheng Xinyan nodded and said. So, if I fall in love or have any other situation, it has nothing to do with you, right? Yi Chen continued. Upon hearing this, Zheng Xinyan hesitated for a moment, but soon nodded. Okay, then the second point, after I go to school, you are not allowed to come to me without my permission, and you are not allowed to disturb my life at will. After hearing this, Zheng Xinyan's eyes flashed with a trace of resentment, and after a light sigh, she still nodded to express her agreement. Seeing Zheng Xinyan's cooperation, Yi Chen extended his hand with satisfaction. After Yi Chen extended his hand, Zheng Xinyan couldn't help but feel curious and asked in confusion, What are you doing? Yi Chen said nothing and directly held Zheng Xinyan's delicate and smooth little hands. With a bright smile on his face, Sister, I wish us a happy cooperation. Zheng Xinyan stared at Yi Chen's sunny smile, rolled her eyes helplessly, and responded unhappily, Okay, happy cooperation. Yi Chen looked up at the sky and found that it was getting dark, so he was ready to turn around and leave. However, he had just taken a few steps when he was stopped by Zheng Xinyan again. What else is there? Yi Chen turned his head and asked. Well, Yi Chen, do you want me to take you home? Zheng Xinyan also came out of the driving school car and said. Send? How to send? Yi Chen asked back. The BMW at the entrance of the driving school is mine. Zheng Xinyan took out the car keys. Damn, you really have a driver's license. Yi Chen felt like a prey caught by a hunter. Brother, let's go. I'll take you home. Don't worry, sister is very skilled. Zheng Xinyan shook the car keys in her hand and said with a smile. Forget it, let's not do it. Sister. Yi Chen waved her hand and refused. Oh. Brother, it's so slow for you to go back by yourself. Sister will take you there, it will be fast. Zheng Xinyan shouted. Forget it, I said, I'll go back by myself, you should go back earlier too. Yi Chen said. Zheng Xinyan heard the chill in Yi Chen's tone. She didn't force it anymore. After all, she had just made an agreement with Yi Chen. If Yi Chen was forced into a hurry, then wouldn't she be a widow again? After Yi Chen finished speaking, he walked out without looking back. Although he had just been reborn, his home had not changed for more than 10 years. So, naturally, I can remember the way back. One of the main reasons why Yi Chen didn't let Zheng Xinyan send him was, although I have an agreement with Zheng Xinyan, there is no guarantee that Zheng Xinyan will regret it. Although the probability is small, there are many things in the world. If Zheng Xinyan sends him, she will know his home address. If she comes to my house in the future, it will only cause trouble. I can't be as reckless as an 18-year-old child. Only Zheng Xinyan is left looking at Yi Chen's gradually leaving back, with a mixture of resentment and desire in her eyes. Recalling the happy time with Yi Chen, she muttered to herself, What a great boy, really, more and more interesting. Yi Chen walked on the road and stretched his muscles. After all, he had been in the car for the whole afternoon and sat for so long. He also had some backaches. However, there was one thing that made him feel extremely good. Even after an afternoon, he still didn't feel tired and was still full of energy. Sure enough. A man in his 30s has no desire for women, but his 18-year-old body says, yes. Not only that, but also very big. To be honest, Yi Chen really didn't want any, but the 18-year-old body insisted on having them. Really, it was really frustrating. Yi Chen walked down the street cursing. Chapter 6 King of Bainbuluk. Soon, Yi Chen followed his memory and came to the familiar community. Even though he was already in his 30s, he felt a little uneasy. Although, it was still the same people, but they were the same people 11 years ago. Will I feel uncomfortable seeing my parents again when I saw them 11 years ago? Yi Chen stood at the door of his house, stopped, and hesitated. For a moment, he didn't know what to say when they met. He sighed slightly, raised his hand, and was ready to knock on the door. After hesitating for a while, he put his hand down again. This went back and forth several times. Finally, he made up his mind and knocked on the door. Then, a familiar yet strange voice came. Son. You're back. Soon, a middle-aged woman came to open the door. Seeing his mother 11 years ago again, Chen felt sour in his heart for some reason. Looking at the kind and gentle face of his mother, the years have left subtle lines on her face, her eyes are bright and spirited, her hair is still neatly combed behind her ears, and occasionally a few strands of white hair float gently in the wind. Mom Tilder. Chen thought a lot along the way, but when he really saw his mother, he couldn't say anything. In his mind, there was only the word, Mom. Enter the house. Looking at this house of only about 100 square meters, it carries most of Chen's memories of his previous life. Entering the living room, he saw his father Yifan sitting on the sofa, watching the Huangmai opera, and humming from time to time. Hey, my son is back. Yifan saw Chen standing there. Yeah, Chen nodded. Yifan smiled and said, "What's wrong, my baby son? How is your driving skills?" Seeing his father smile, it seemed that the familiar feeling came back again. Just kidding, your son, I am nicknamed the #1 driving god in Jiangnan province. If it weren't for the damn study, I would have become the king of Bayan Buluk long ago. Chen raised his thumb and said confidently. Ba what bulu what ku? Dad Yifan looked at Chen with a confused face and said. Oops, I forgot that the speeding life has not been released yet. Chen thought in his heart. Well, it's nothing, nonsense. Chen scratched the back of his head and smiled awkwardly. At this time, his mother Liuxian came out of the kitchen and said, Well, son, this afternoon, my aunt called and asked you how you felt about the college entrance examination. Why did she call? Chen turned around and said. After all, he felt that way about this uncle and aunt. She is just concerned about your grades. Liuxian comforted. He. Mom, just tell her that your son has already entered Jingjiang University. Chen said with a smile. Wow. Son, how can you be so confident? Liuxian looked at Chen with a suspicious look. At this time, Yifan, the father who had been lying on the sofa, came to Chen, touched Chen's forehead with his hand, and then touched his own forehead with his hand. He said with a puzzled expression, Hey, no fever. Liuxian, come and try, is it because of driving practice that you are stupid? Really? Let me see. After saying that, Liuxian was ready to pull open Chen's eyelids to see if he was stupid. Oh my. I'm not sick. I'm telling the truth. Chen blocked his mother's eyelid pulling offensive. Forget it, my son said he can pass the exam, so let him pass. It's always good to think about it, what if it comes true? Yifan gave Chen a way out. It's no wonder that his parents didn't believe him. Chen's luck suddenly exploded in the college entrance examination. He knew all the questions and guessed all the answers correctly. He knew all the questions he had learned and guessed all the answers correctly. It was nearly 40 points higher than his usual score. So, he accidentally entered Jingjiang University, the best university in Jiangnan province. Well, do you want to accompany your dad to have a little wine tonight? It just so happens that your mom also prepared some snacks. Yifan took out a bottle of wine from the cupboard and said happily. Okay. Then, son, I will accompany you and have a good drink. Chen took a wine glass from the cupboard. Of course, Chen had another purpose. However, some words are hard to say without two tales of wine. Here, I saw that you two wanted to drink, so I fried peanuts for you too. Liuxian brought a bowl of freshly fried peanuts. Okay, thank you, girl, very good, beautiful. Dad Yifan was so happy that he spoke authentic Jiangnan English. Then, Mom Liuxian continued to prepare some dishes. Dad Yifan packed up the food for the family of 3 and prepared the chopsticks. Then, they sat down. Chen and Yifan only picked up some peanuts, clinked glasses from time to time, and sipped a little wine. This is a habit in Chen's family. Generally, they have to wait until their whole family is at the table before they will eat formally. At this time, Chen felt that it was about time. So he said, Dad, what do you think of your son, me? Yifan said while holding a peanut, Not bad. Fortunately I inherited your intelligence from your mother. If it was inherited from your father, it would be terrible. Oh. Dad. How can you say that? Your position in my mind is equal to my mother's. Chen hurriedly patted the horse. Well, not bad, although I know it's flattery, but it's comfortable to hear, Yifan said with a smile. Chen saw that the mood was set here, so he said, Dad, your son, I am going to start a business in the summer vacation. Well, not bad, not bad, Dad supports you. Yifan nodded. Really? Dad, thank you so much. Yi Chen hurriedly stood up and filled the wine for his father Yifan. Hey, son, as long as you don't break the law, Dad will support you. Yifan said after taking a sip of wine. Well, son, now I can almost start the business capital, and I hope you can be independent. Yi Chen put down the wine bottle and looked at his father Yifan with expectation. When he heard about money, Yifan slowly put down the wine glass and whispered, Well, tell me honestly, did your mother send you here? No, Dad, why do you think I was sent by my mother to find out your private money? Yi Chen was speechless for a moment. Dad, this money. Even if you invest, when your son makes money in the future, can't I give you a share? Make money? Are you sure? Come on, son, open your mouth, have a peanut, so you won't get drunk. Yifan picked up a peanut and put it into Yi Chen's mouth. Dad, this is not trusting your own son. Yi Chen sighed. Liu Shen. Come and eat. The food is getting cold. Yifan ignored Yi Chen and shouted loudly. Chapter 7 This king's business started and failed. Here it comes, move aside, the last dish. Mom Liu Shen served a braised pork ribs. Liu Shen. Son, I want to start a business to make money during the summer vacation, what do you think? Yifan directly threw the question to Liu Shen. Start a business. After hearing this, Liu Shen subconsciously looked at his big son. Yeah. Yi Chen nodded and said. Look, I told you a long time ago that you don't need to learn to drive during the summer vacation. Look, this kid has heat stroke. Liu Shen looked at Yi Chen and said. Mom, I'm telling the truth, and I didn't have heat stroke. Yi Chen looked at his mother helplessly. Liu Shen thought for a while and said, How about this, after dinner, wash the pots and pans, and then sweep the floor at home, I'll give you 100 yuan. No, Mom? The entrepreneurship I'm talking about is different from what you said. For me, this is more of an investment, competing for strategic vision, a value investment. Yi Chen paused and said, For you, this is more of a way to get paid by selling labor, which is called working. Working, I will never work in this life. Yi Chen said with a pout. Wow. It feels like you're just washing dishes and sweeping the floor, and you're given 100 yuan. Such a good thing, why don't you give it to me? I only want 50 yuan. Yifan raised his head suddenly after hearing this. Damn, Dad, you're rolling inward. There weren't many to begin with, and after rolling in, there are only a few coins left. Yi Chen was anxious. Mom, if you give me another 100 yuan, I promise to complete the task excellently. Yi Chen had to bow his head at this time. Mother, I only need 50 yuan. Yifan said happily. Go away, you are all dishonest. I have been washing these pots and pans all year round, and I haven't seen any of you pay me a salary. Hey, this king's business has failed before it even started. Yi Chen sighed to the sky, expressing his helplessness, and returned to his seat to eat. After eating, Yi Chen put the bowl into the sink and was about to enter his room. Suddenly, a voice came, Son, come, take it. You have also finished the college entrance examination and have grown up. You must have some pocket money on you. Liu Shen took out 300 yuan and handed it to Yi Chen. Looking at the money in his hand, Yi Chen hurriedly said, Mom, I love you. Then, he turned his eyes to his father Yifan, Dad, look, you. Before he finished speaking, however, Yifan seemed to have expected it. He picked up the newspaper on the table, held a toothpick in his mouth, and blocked his face. Dad, don't block it. Aren't you trying to cover your ears and steal the bell? Yi Chen came to Yifan with a smile and said. Yifan had no choice but to put down the newspaper, muttering, Okay, I'll give it to you. While speaking, he took out the crumpled 100 yuan bill from his trouser pocket, counted out one and handed it to Yi Chen. No, Dad, my mom gave 300. Why, you only gave 100. I don't ask you to give more, at least it's about the same. Yeah, okay. After that, Yifan took out another crumpled Mao Zedong from it. No, this time. It's really gone. If you want it again, there will be no more. Okay, got it, Dad. Yi Chen took this huge sum of money and prepared to build his own empire with this 500 yuan startup capital, relying on the memory of his previous life and the awesome system. Dad, Mom, many years later, you will be extremely proud of this decision today, because you will be the parents of the richest people in the country, no, the parents of the richest people in the world. Chen felt like he had become a dragon among men. Oh. That's good. Don't spend all the money all at once. Mom Lucian said without even raising her head. As for Dad, Yifan, he had already gone downstairs for a walk, fearing that Chen would ask him for money again. Forget it, those who achieve great things are not particular about small matters. Chen returned to the bedroom and looked at his high school bedroom. What came into view was a slightly peeling desk with stickers of One Piece on it. There are Luffy, Zoro, George, Chopper. The walls are all covered with NBA posters, with James, Kobe, Duncan. Looking at the posters, Chen was thoughtful, but he couldn't think of what it was for a while. Forget it, don't think about it, now I still have plenty of time to think about it. Chen flipped here and there, and was very curious about this familiar yet unfamiliar bedroom. Just then, Chen saw a diary of his own on the desk. When his soul in his 30s looked at what he wrote when he was 18, it felt so naive and funny. It turned out that he was so naive when he was 18 years old. As expected. Who would write a diary if they were serious? Can someone who writes a diary be called a serious person? Disgraceful. It seems that I can't be a serious person in this life. Just when Chen was still immersed in the memories of the past. Chen. I was sweating while learning to drive this afternoon. Go take a shower quickly. I've put all your clothes in the bathroom. Lucian shouted in the living room. Well, okay. Chen replied. Then, Chen opened the door of the bedroom and entered the bathroom. Looking at the clothes on the shelf, he felt sad. Since going to college, studying for a master's degree, and working, he has been working outside, doing everything by himself. Now, it feels so good to be back home again. After taking a shower and packing everything up, Chen felt very sleepy even though it was only 10 o'clock in the evening. In his previous life, college was okay, but studying for a master's degree and working often required staying up late, and the pressure was very high. Every day when he opened his eyes, he had to work, and when he closed his eyes, he thought about work. It seemed that his life was filled with work, and he was so overwhelmed. Sure enough, being young is good. You can fall asleep as soon as you lie down. Inside the bedroom, it was dark, but outside the bedroom, my parents were waiting outside. At this time, I was only 18 years old, and the future was bright. That night, Chen slept very soundly. Chapter 8: The Vigorous Old Man, the Lifeless Young Man. The next morning, Chen woke up when it was still light outside. After waking up, he stared out the window, his eyes were a little confused, but also a little expectant. I thought that after waking up, I would return to the original world directly like in the TV series. However, when I saw the NBA poster on the wall, I knew that I was still in 2013. It seems that I really can't go back. I looked at the time and it was only 6 o'clock in the morning. Sure enough. Even if I was reborn, I couldn't stop my previous life's work and rest time. Before this time, Chen had to get up and drive an hour to the company, otherwise, if it was a little later, he would experience a big traffic jam. Chen seriously suspected that from elementary school to high school, basically students had to get up very early. Especially in high school, some places might have to go to school before 6 o'clock and go home around 10 o'clock in the evening. It's for the 996 work, or 12 hours plus 6 days off. No wonder, college students are not wanted to screw in the factory. A serious college student would not get up without getting up early. However, I don't need to be so anxious now. Chen stretched his body and then started to brush his teeth and wash his face. At this time, he happened to meet his father Yifan, who got up to go to the toilet. Yo, the sun is rising from the west. Our eldest young master got up so early. Yifan looked at Chen, who came out of the bedroom, and teased. Hey, Dad, why, in your eyes, does your son like to sleep in so much? Chen twisted his neck and said. Oh. By the way, I forgot, you are going to start a business in the summer vacation. Work hard. After that, he walked towards the bedroom. That, Dad. Chen stopped Yifan, who was about to leave, and said. What's wrong? That, I'm hungry, Dad. Chen pointed to his rumbling stomach and said. Yeah, that's right. Yifan nodded. Yeah, Tilda, that's right. I'm a little hungry too. Yifan nodded. Dad, what do you want to eat in the morning? Yi Chen's face was full of expectation. Son. Otherwise, you have nothing to do at home anyway, otherwise, how about you cook for your parents? Yifan said. Yi Chen was speechless for a while. No, Dad, I'm still a child. Yi Chen didn't finish his words. I gave you money yesterday, go buy breakfast yourself. Don't worry about me and your mom, we will buy it when we go to work. Yifan interrupted Yi Chen directly and said. No, Dad. By the way, when you open the door, be quiet, your mom and I still need to sleep. After saying that, he immediately returned to the bedroom. Yifan was still worried that Yi Chen would come to their room, so he immediately closed the door from the bedroom. Then, he heard a click, and the bedroom door was locked. Yi Chen was left alone, standing in the living room with a confused look on his face. No way. Is this the treatment of children after the college entrance examination? Yi Chen said with a pout. Sure enough. Before the college entrance examination, I was a panda at home, and everyone had to pamper me. After the college entrance examination, I turned into a bear, and everyone had to avoid me. Forget it, my dad doesn't care about me, and I have to survive. So, Yi Chen went downstairs and started looking for food. It just so happened that I also wanted to see the atmosphere of fireworks in 11 years. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and the streets began to get lively. After all, here in Jiangnan province, it is basically bright at 6:30 in the morning in summer. The mornings in summer are very refreshing. If it's a little later, the sun will be very big. There are many shops selling breakfast on the street. For example, those selling fish soup noodles, egg pancakes, fried dough sticks, and tofu pudding. Hey, handsome guy, do you want freshly baked wuxi xilong babo? Come on, handsome guy, do you want freshly fried dough sticks? Come on, authentic Lanzhou beef noodles, do you want a bowl? Yi Chen walked along, drooling all their way. It's been a long time since I got up early so comfortably. Hey, handsome guy, authentic fish soup noodles, all made with small yellow croaker soup base, do you want a bowl? Hearing about fish soup noodles, Yi Chen was a little greedy. After all, fish soup noodles are the delicacy of his hometown. After going to college, he has not been back much, and he has not tried fish soup noodles for a long time. Okay. Just as Yi Chen was about to enter the store and prepare another side dish, pickled mustard greens and pork shreds, to put in the fish soup noodles. Well, it's so delicious. Just as Yi Chen was about to pay with his mobile phone. Suddenly, he remembered that he had not bought a mobile phone after the college entrance examination. Damn, it's broken. Yi Chen touched his pants and found that he had taken out the money when he was taking a shower yesterday. Today, he changed into a pair of pants, but he hadn't had time to put the money in yet. Hey, I can only give up the bowl of fish noodle soup. To be honest, Yi Chen felt that he could owe the debt, but the boss didn't mind. Just like he didn't recommend gun banks, but the country and the law mind. Since he didn't have money for breakfast, why bother to hang out here? Looking at the watch, he saw that it was already 6:45. Forget it, since he didn't have money for breakfast, he might as well do some aerobics on an empty stomach. After all, his future goals were big, but the premise of these was to have a good body. Yi Chen remembered that there was a small park nearby, and he was going to practice with the uncles and aunts there. Walking into the park, he saw the uncles playing with spinning tops. Par da. An ordinary spinning top was played with by the old men. There were also old ladies holding fans and dancing in the square. Some old men and women were practicing Tai Chi. Their faces were filled with happy smiles. As expected. The old people were full of vigor and vitality, and the young people were lifeless. Chapter 9 Freeloader. Yi Chen started to warm up and prepared to run around the park for a few laps. After all, he had just started using this body, so he wanted to try his level first. After running for a while, Yi Chen didn't feel tired at all. Although he didn't have a sports watch like in his previous life, Yi Chen could clearly feel that his breathing was not panting at all. Sure enough, the lungs that were not polluted by cigarettes at the age of 18 were good lungs. Huff 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 huff. Huff 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 huff. Inhale exhale. Yi Chen took deep breaths rhythmically. After running a few laps, Yi Chen felt really good. The body of an 18-year-old and the body of a 30-year-old really feel different. You really don't know if you don't compare. Chen was going to find a free place to do some relaxing movements to relieve his muscles. Then he saw a familiar back. Chen recognized this back at a glance. She walked briskly, her pretty figure swayed gently, and her graceful back looked particularly moving in the sun. A back that I have never forgotten. The white moonlight in my mind, sometimes the white moonlight is whiter than the moonlight myself. However, it seems that I have no contact with her after graduating from high school in my previous life. I didn't expect that I would meet her here. Liu Ruyan, a name that should have been a villain in the novel, looked so good on her. Liu Ruyan was running, panting in her sports shorts, revealing her white and slender thighs. The black tights completely outlined her exquisite upper body curves, and her chest swayed slightly with the running. Even Chen, who was in his 30s, couldn't help but get excited when he saw it. Chen had stopped and immediately ran again. Liu Ruyan, so early. Chen ran to Liu Ruyan and greeted her. Chen. Obviously, Liu Ruyan was a little surprised by Chen's appearance. After all, who would start early exercise just a few days after the college entrance examination? Chen. Why are you here? Liu Ruyan asked while running. Hey, I like sports since I was a child. Chen said shamelessly. Oh. Really? Liu Ruyan said with a suspicious look. Why? You don't believe me? Chen said with a smile. Believe it? Liu Ruyan nodded and said. By the way, how is Lin Xiefei recently? Liu Ruyan stopped and said. Lin Xiefei. Chen also stopped and repeated. Yeah. Liu Ruyan looked at Chen. How could such a familiar name sound like that? Chen really couldn't remember it at this moment. After all, so many years have passed, it's impossible for him to remember every girl. Seeing Chen frowning, he thought he had touched Chen's pain. Feeling a little embarrassed. Did I touch your pain? I'm really sorry. Liu Ruyan lowered her head slightly. Chen was also a little puzzled at this moment. Why would Liu Ruyan feel sorry for mentioning Lin Xiefei? Forget it, let's play along. Yeah. Chen nodded with a somewhat painful expression. Have you had breakfast? Chen asked. Well, not yet. Okay, I haven't either, so I'll treat you to breakfast, and we'll eat and talk. Although Chen had no money, he still wanted to treat Liu Ruyan very calmly. When a man is outside, he should give face by himself. Sure enough, Liu Ruyan, who was already a little guilty, shook her head and said, How can I let you treat me? It was originally because I said something inappropriate just now. I should treat you. Well, okay. Chen nodded quickly. Then, it's a happy decision. I haven't eaten fish soup noodles for a long time. When I go to college, it will be difficult to have the opportunity to eat it again. Let's go to eat fish soup noodles now. Chen said and took the initiative to suggest going to a fish soup noodle restaurant just now. At this time, Liu Ruyan felt that something was wrong with Chen, but she couldn't tell why. Just like that, she was dragged by Chen and came to the fish soup noodle restaurant in a daze. Boss, give me 2 servings of fish soup noodles. Chen found a seat and sat down. Well, what other side dishes do you want to order? Chen asked considerately. Well, whatever. You decide. Liu Ruyan sat opposite Chen. Okay, boss, 2 more dishes of pickled mustard greens and shredded pork. Chen said. Soon, 2 bowls of fish noodle soup and 2 dishes of pickled mustard greens and shredded pork came up. Oh, just like that, it's so delicious. It's so smooth. Chen skillfully put the pickled mustard greens and pork shreds into the fish noodle soup, and then picked up the white pepper next to it and sprinkled it. This is what Chen learned from his experience of eating fish noodle soup for more than 30 years. It's just a little rough. Comparatively, Liu Ruyan is much more polite. Pick up a chopstick of pickled mustard greens and pork shreds, and then pick up a chopstick of noodles. Sip it in small sips, and drink the soup in spoonfuls. As for Chen, noodles are eaten in bundles, and soup is drunk in mouthfuls. After a few minutes, Chen's noodles are gone. Looking at Liu Ruyan's noodles that are still as big as a small mountain, Chen swallowed his saliva. Looking at Chen, he seems to be not full yet. Well, Yi Chen, I can't eat so much, do you want to eat? Liu Ruyan looked at Yi Chen and said. Oh. How can I be so embarrassed? Yi Chen said sorry, but the chopsticks in his hand had already picked up Liu Ruyan's noodles and put them into the bowl. Well, I have some pickled mustard greens and pork shreds here. Liu Ruyan pushed the pickled mustard greens and pork shreds, which she had barely touched, in front of Yi Chen. Yi Chen accepted it happily, adhering to the principle of not eating it and not using it, and not using it, and not using it. As for Liu Ruyan, she spent most of her time watching Yi Chen eat. Yi Chen ate so deliciously. It was like a live version of eating broadcast. Yi Chen, you really have a good appetite. The food smells so good. Liu Ruyan said, holding her chin and blinking her smart eyes. Yi Chen raised his head. He said. Then, he lowered his head and continued to eat noodles. Looking at Yi Chen eating noodles so seriously, Liu Ruyan didn't feel like interrupting him. Finally, Yi Chen finished eating the last noodle in the bowl and scooped out the shredded pickled mustard greens and pork. Satisfied, he put down his chopsticks. Looking at his gradually growing belly, he said, You don't learn from me. Overeating will make you fat, right? Chapter 10, A Lifetime, Just a Lifetime. Seeing Yi Chen eating so happily, Liu Ruyan also found it very interesting. She held her chin and asked, How is it? Are you full? Yi Chen nodded contentedly and said, Well, I'm really sorry for your expense today. Well, it's getting late. I have to go home. Bye. After that, Yi Chen took a tissue, wiped his mouth, and walked out of the fish soup noodle restaurant leisurely. When Yi Chen was about to leave, his boss called him. Well, the money for the noodles hasn't been paid yet. Yi Chen turned around slowly and pointed at Liu Ruyan, who was tying her shoelaces with her head down. He pointed at himself again. Then raise your hands, keeping them symmetrical, to make a lighter shape. After the boss saw it, he understood what he meant and didn't say anything else. Just like that, Yi Chen, got a free meal of fish soup noodles. When I got home, no one was there. At this time, his father Yi Fan and mother Liu Shen both went to work. Yi Chen looked at the time, it was around 9 o'clock in the morning. I wonder if the NBA is about to start. Counting the days, it should be the finals by now. If I remember correctly, it should be the Spurs playing against the Heat. Etc. Yi Chen suddenly thought of something and hurried into his room. Looking at the NBA posters covering the walls of my room, something suddenly came to my mind. Fuck, little master, I'm going to get rich. Har 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 har. That's how I made my first pot of gold. Yi Chen's face was full of excitement at this time. Because he was very impressed by the 2013 finals. The college entrance examination just ended, and I watched the NBA finals on TV every day. I am familiar with the general direction and process of the game. This means that you can buy sports lottery and get your first pot of gold. Yi Chen quickly turned on the computer and checked. Now today is the 5th game of the finals. Yi Chen looked at the game schedule on the computer and fell into deep thought. If Yi Chen remembered correctly, the Heat won the 7th game for 3 in the end. However, Yi Chen couldn't remember who won or lost the 5th game. Etc. As long as we know the result of today's game, doesn't it mean that the format of the next competition can also be launched? Thinking of this, Yi Chen quickly turned on the TV. The third quarter had just begun. Looking at the players from both sides competing fiercely on the court, Yi Chen was not very nervous. After all, I have experienced it once and know that the Heat will win the championship in the end, so there is naturally nothing to look forward to. So Yi Chen walked slowly to the refrigerator in the kitchen, ready to see if there was anything to eat or drink. When he opened the refrigerator with great expectations, he found it was empty. Yi Chen couldn't help but laugh at himself, as expected. Anyone can step on a kid who has just finished the college entrance examination. Yi Chen shook his head helplessly, then turned back to the living room, sat down on the sofa and continued watching the NBA game. As time passed, Yi Chen's body gradually relaxed, and his originally upright sitting posture slowly became lazy. Unconsciously, his posture changed from sitting to lying. Yi Chen lay on the soft sofa, his eyes fixed on the TV screen, but his thoughts gradually drifted away. He began to fantasize about his future life, imagining himself successfully reaching the pinnacle of life, enjoying endless glory and wealth, surrounded by a group of beautiful women, and living a wonderful life with beauties on both sides. The more Yi Chen thought about it, the more excited he became, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. However, at this moment, a feeling of fatigue came over Yi Chen, his eyelids became heavier, and finally closed uncontrollably. He fell into a deep sleep, and the only sound in the living room was the NBA game. In the dream, there were so many beautiful women around me, I was so happy and intoxicated. Suddenly, a phone call woke Yi Chen up from his wonderful dream. What? Love is just a daydream. Who is it? Yi Chen picked up the mobile phone at home. I? What a familiar voice. Who is it? You don't even know me. Who are you? Fuck, Yi Chen, you forgot about me after just 5 days. Yi Chen finally remembered the voice. It's my best friend since childhood, Wang Tian. It's just that the sound of my voice now is a little different from when I was 30 years old. So, Yi Chen didn't understand it at first. What's wrong? What's the matter? Yi Chen said. Well, the Heat are probably going to lose, and the Spurs are going to win the Kings game. Wang Tian said. Spurs? Yi Chen hurried to the TV. It was already the fourth quarter, and there were about 4 minutes left before the end of the game. The Heat are still about 10 points behind. This time, Giroud and Danny Green were simply awesome. Wang Tian sighed. Well, not bad. Yi Chen said very calmly. Yeah. I'm afraid the Heat will be defeated by the Spurs for :2 this time. Wang Tian sighed. Don't be impatient. Wait and see. Yi Chen said calmly. Yi Chen and Wang Tian chatted for a while. Coincidentally, Game 5 between the Spurs and the Heat also ended. Hey, Da Wang. How about I make a bet with you? Yi Chen said. What kind of bet is this? Are the Spurs leading the Heat 3:2 now? Yi Chen said. Well, let me tell you, brother, I'll give you a chance. I say the Heat will definitely be the champions, believe it or not. Yi Chen said. I don't believe it. Duncan hasn't shown his full strength today. What's more, there are also Kawhi Leonard and Parker. Wang Tian said with a pursed mouth. So, you are betting on the Spurs to win the championship, right? Yi Chen said. Yeah, Wang Tian replied. Okay, then it's settled. You're the Spurs and I'm the Heat. Yi Chen said with a smile. Okay. Then let's talk about who loses and what to do. Yi Chen said with a smile when he saw Wang Tian coming. Tell me about it. Whoever loses will pay for the basketball game for the rest of his life. How about that? Yi Chen said with a smile. Okay, for a lifetime, that's it. Wang Tian said seriously. Chapter 11 Borrowing Money. Yi Chen chatted with Wang Tian for a while and then hung up the phone. Yi Chen looked at the post-match interview and had something in mind. It's time to start earning your first pot of gold. But, I looked at the 500 yuan in my hand and thought, how could I possibly afford it? After all, it's only 500 yuan. Even if it is multiplied by a lot, it will not exceed 10,000 yuan at most. What else can I do? Just when Yi Chen was hesitating. Suddenly I saw the business card that Jing Xinyan gave me yesterday on the table, and I had made up my mind. Yi Chen dialed the number on the phone. Beep, 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 beep. What followed was a soft and gentle female voice. Oh hey, Yi Chen, you miss your sister so soon? Jing Xinyan joked. Hey, how do you know it's me? Yi Chen asked puzzledly. Sister and brother have telepathy. Tell me. What do you want from me, your sister? Jing Xinyan's seductive voice came. It's okay, sister, I just missed you a little. Yi Chen replied. Oh, this is not like you. I don't know who it is, but you're so eager to distance yourself from it right after we finished eating yesterday. Jing Xinyan complained. Forehead. Yi Chen was speechless for a moment, but after all, he had a request to Jing Xinyan. Tell me. Brother, if you have anything to say, please come to me, your sister. Jing Xinyan said with interest. Sister, you are really smart. You are one of the few women I have ever seen who combines beauty and wisdom. Yi Chen flattered her. Oh my, when there's something going on you call me sister all the time, and when there's nothing going on you say we're just having a physical relationship. There was a hint of complaint in Jing Xinyan's words. Sister, your brother, really have something to do. Yi Chen naturally heard the complaint in Jing Xinyan's words. But what can I do? After all, the most important thing for me now is to get more startup capital. Tell me. What's the matter? Zheng Xinyan said. Can you lend me some money? Yi Chen said straight to the point. Yi Chen's voice was very sincere. How much do you plan to borrow? Zheng Xinyan said. The more the better. Yi Chen simply said what he wanted to say. After all, for any successful startup, earning the first pot of gold is often the hardest. If you don't have enough startup capital, all your future plans will be difficult. Yi Chen actually wanted to go to the bank to borrow a loan, but now is not 2024, and it is not the time when the bank will beg you to lend money. Moreover, I am still a student after all. I have no job, no source of income, and I don't have anything of value in my name. I can't persuade my dad or mom to sell their house to me as startup capital. Or you can give your house to a bank as collateral to get a loan. If I tell them, I'm afraid it would be good if they don't have a mixed doubles match, let alone the startup capital. So, if I really couldn't find any other way to make money, I wouldn't call Zheng Xinyan. After all, Yi Chen still remembers that sentence. Don't sleep with a woman you have a financial relationship with. Of course, Yi Chen had prepared himself mentally. After all, he and Zheng Xinyan only had a physical relationship. If you can't borrow money, you can just think of other ways. Just as Yi Chen was thinking about how to deal with the situation where Zheng Xinyan would not lend him money. Well, is 200,000 enough? Zheng Xinyan's voice came from the other end of the phone. Yi Chen was obviously a little surprised. Unexpectedly, Zheng Xinyan immediately said the number of 200,000. What? Is it not enough? Zheng Xinyan's tone was a little hesitant. Enough, more than enough. Yi Chen nodded quickly. Yi Chen himself didn't understand why he borrowed the money so easily. Oh. That's good. From the tone of your voice just now, I thought 200,000 wasn't enough. Zheng Xinyan said after taking a breath. Well, I'm really sorry. I'm asking you to borrow 200,000 yuan after only knowing you for one day. Yi Chen scratched his head and said embarrassedly. It's okay, look at what you said. Yi Chen. When do you plan to come over to get the money? Zheng Xinyan said. Well, the sooner the better, preferably today. Yi Chen replied. Okay. Come to my house now. Zheng Xinyan said after thinking for a while. Okay, where is your home? Yi Chen said. As soon as I said it, I felt that this sentence was a bit bad. After all, she is still a married woman. What if the old man is at home? That would be very embarrassing. Is your husband at home? Yi Chen asked with some guilt. No, he went to America for recuperation. Zheng Xinyan said. Oh. That's such a pity. Otherwise, we can find a chance to get to know each other. Yi Chen said. Why, brother, do you really want to meet him? Zheng Xinyan's tone was somewhat dissatisfied. If he were here, what would we do? Oh. At this moment, Yi Chen felt a chill on his back. I felt that if Zheng Xinyan asked me to go to her house to get money, I would probably have to sacrifice countless lives again. Yes, sister is right. Where is your address? Yi Chen said after taking a breath. Room 6, Building 5, Xingfu Community. Zheng Xinyan said. Okay, sister, I'll come find you right away. Then Yi Chen hung up the phone. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep. The other end of the phone. Zheng Xinyan heard the sound of the phone being hung up. She licked her red lips with the tip of her tongue, showed a charming smile and said, what an interesting little guy. Then he hung up the phone. Yi Chen ran all the way according to the address given by Zheng Xinyan. My body is so good at 18. I don't feel short of breath anymore, my waist doesn't feel sore anymore, and my legs don't hurt anymore. Xingfu Community is about 4 to 5 kilometers away from Yi Chen's home. It took Yi Chen about 25 minutes to reach the entrance of Xingfu Community. Yi Chen was muttering to himself as he searched. Building 5, number 6. Building 5, number 6 inch. Building 5, number 6. Building 5, number 6 inch. It was found quickly. When he arrived at Zheng Xinyan's door, Yi Chen raised his hand, ready to knock on the door, but put it down again. Yi Chen could feel that the deeper he went in, the deeper his relationship and entanglement with Jing Xinyan became. Forget it. If I don't succeed, I'll die. Boom 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 boom. Here it comes, here it comes. Jing Xinyan's charming voice came from inside the room. Jing Xinyan opened the door. Yi Chen's attention was attracted by the scene before him. Jing Xinyan was wearing a pink silk suspender pajamas. The delicate texture and smooth touch seemed to tell of her gentleness and charm. What is even more eye-catching is that at the neckline of the pajamas, a snow-white cleavage is revealed, which is as eye-catching as the brightest star in the night sky, exuding the charm of a mature woman. Looking at the tender Jing Xinyan, Yi Chen's heartbeat accelerated involuntarily, and his breathing became rapid. Chapter 12. Hey, this money. It's really not easy to borrow it. Hello, sister. Yi Chen said with a smile. Hey, brother, here you are. Come in. Jing Xinyan said with a charming smile. Okay. Yi Chen swallowed, changed into slippers and went in. Sister, Yi Chen was interrupted by Jing Xinyan before he could finish his words. Brother, you ran here? Jing Xinyan asked with concern. Yeah. Yi Chen nodded and said. Well, let's not talk about that for now, go take a shower first. Jing Xinyan found a towel and wiped Yi Chen's sweat. Well, all right. There was no other way. Yi Chen now needed to get a loan from Jing Xinyan, so he could only listen to Jing Xinyan. Brother, this is a new bathrobe. You should change your clothes first. Otherwise you will catch a cold when the wind blows. Jing Xinyan said with concern. All right. Afterwards, Yi Chen went into the bathroom and changed his clothes. Jing Xinyan asked him to take a shower. Yi Chen was very puzzled about this. Why not change your clothes after taking a shower? You must change clothes before taking a shower. However, Yi Chen did not think much about it. What if the other person just thought the smell of sweat was unpleasant? Well, brother, just give me the clothes you changed into. Jing Xinyan said to Yi Chen, who was holding the clothes in his hands. Yi Chen handed the clothes to Jing Xinyan, and then went to the bathroom to take a shower. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Yi Chen was taking a bath, humming a little tune and singing a song. Wash, wash, wash. Wash, wash, wash. After a while, Yi Chen finished washing. Yi Chen opened the bathroom door, his hair was wet, there were some water droplets on his face and neck. Combined with the steam in the bathroom, a sense of atmosphere emerges. When Jing Xinyan saw Yi Chen, who had just finished taking a shower, she opened her mouth and couldn't suppress the smile on her face. Here, this is a dry towel, wipe it. Jing Xinyan handed the towel to Yi Chen and said. Well, okay. Yi Chen wiped it with a towel. Sister, money. Yi Chen thought it would be better to get straight to the point. Oh. Are you talking about this? Then, Jing Xinyan took out a bank card. Yi Chen was about to take it, but Jing Xinyan pulled her hand back. Brother, don't be anxious. The money is here, and it won't grow wings and fly away. Jing Xinyan pursed her lips and said with her slender eyebrows raised. Yi Chen swallowed his saliva, knowing that it was not good. He was afraid that he would not be able to get it unless he paid something. Looking at Jing Xinyan with a smug look on her face, Yi Chen gritted his teeth and swallowed. About half an hour later. Even though the air conditioner was on in the room, Yi Chen was still sweating profusely and breathing heavily. Hey, it's all hard-earned money. It's not easy. Yi Chen said in his heart. Lying in Yi Chen's arms. Jing Xinyan said. By the way, brother, why do you suddenly need so much money? Jing Xinyan. Make money. Yi Chen just said 2 words. Making money. Jing Xinyan was obviously a little surprised. After the college entrance examination, most college students think about where to go and what games to play. However, Yi Chen was thinking about making money. Well, Yi Chen, how are you going to make money? Jing Xinyan asked curiously. Secret. Yi Chen showed a mysterious smile. Wow, I didn't realize you're quite mysterious, little brother. Jing Xinyan didn't ask any further questions. Yi Chen naturally didn't want to reveal any more. After all, I don't want others to know that I am a reborn person. After all, the world is dangerous and you have to be careful. Jing Xinyan placed the card on Yi Chen's chest. Sister, aren't you afraid that I will run away with the money? After all, 200,000 is not a small amount. Yi Chen said while looking at Jing Xinyan in his arms. Jing Xinyan drew circles on Yi Chen's chest with her index finger and said, "Sister believes in you." This sentence surprised Yi Chen a little. Faced with Jing Xinyan's trust, Yi Chen still felt a little embarrassed. "Don't worry. Sister, I will return it to you in no more than 10 days. Yi Chen said seriously. What's the password? Yi Chen asked as he picked up the bank card. 88888888, Jing Xinyan said. Such a random password. Yi Chen said with some disbelief. Otherwise, with so many cards, it would be too complicated and you would forget them. Zheng Xinyan said nonchalantly. All right. I was too poor in my previous life and didn't know how rich people live. I was too rude. However, with this startup capital, you can make money out of nothing. This is what it means to use someone else's chicken to lay your own eggs. Hey, this money. It's really not easy to borrow it. Then. Chapter 13. If you win, you get a foot massage. If you lose, you start your life over again. After a period of lingering, Yi Chen came out from Jing Xinyan's warm nest and changed into his own clothes. After all, no matter how good the land of gentleness is, one cannot indulge in it. A man's ambition should be like the Yangtze River, flowing eastward to the sea. Why should he yearn for the land of gentleness? Well, brother, how about we have dinner at my sister's house tonight? By the way, at my sister's house. Zheng Xinyan said charmingly while lying on the bed, the white quilt covering her proud figure. No. If I come home late, my parents will tell. If they become suspicious, it won't be good for you or for me. Yi Chen interrupted directly. Sometimes, it might be better to retain a little bit of hunger, that irresistible, itchy feeling. Once satisfied, it is easy to lose interest. However, these were not a big deal for Yi Chen. After all, with these 200,000 yuan, he believed that he would soon be able to accumulate the first pot of gold in his life. Okay. Everything will be as my brother says. Zheng Xinyan stared at Yi Chen with a trace of resentment in her eyes and said coquettishly. So, I'm ready to leave now. Yi Chen responded with a smile, his lips slightly raised. Yeah, remember to come and play with me often. Zheng Xinyan muttered, while getting off the bed and moving to Yi Chen. Her slender and white arms gently wrapped around Yi Chen's neck, and then gave him a passionate kiss. Don't worry, sister, I will. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, he left Zheng Xinyan's house. Zheng Xinyan looked at Yi Chen's departing figure, licked her lips, revealed a charming smile, and murmured to herself, what an interesting little guy. It was approaching dusk, the sun was setting, and the afterglow of the setting sun fell on the city's tall buildings, as if they were covered with a dazzling golden dress. In the streets and alleys, people were rushing home in a hurry, cars were flowing, and traffic lights were changing colors rhythmically. Yi Chen left Jing Xinyan's home and went straight to the sports lottery center with the bank card in his hand. Hey, young man, what do you want to play? Said the gambling shop owner when he saw Yi Chen. Boss, buy NBA. Yi Chen looked at the wall and said. Okay, bet on winning or losing, or big or small, said the boss. Win or lose? Yi Chen thought for a moment and replied. After all, how could I possibly remember how many points they had now? But the only thing I can be sure of is that the Heat will win the next 2 games. Well, boss, let's bet on winning or losing. Yi Chen said. Well, by the Spurs championship, the boss said. No, bet on the Heat to win Game 6 and the Heat to win the championship. Yi Chen said seriously. Hey. It seems you are a Heat fan, said the boss. How much do you plan to buy? Asked the boss. 200,000. Yi Chen said calmly. Obviously the boss was a little surprised by Yi Chen's decision. Are you sure? 200,000. The boss asked Yi Chen again, wanting to confirm whether what he heard was true. Yes. I'm sure. Yi Chen said very confidently. Young man, I have to remind you that the Spurs are leading the Heat by 10 points in Game 5. The boss cleared his throat and continued, also, your 200,000 is really too much. What if you lose it all? It's okay, boss. Just accept the loss. I can afford it. Yi Chen joked. Harmful. The boss sighed and said, are you an adult? Show me your ID card. Chen showed his ID card. He had just turned 18 last week. Okay. Well, how are you going to bet with the 200,000? Seeing that persuasion was futile, the boss had to agree. Well, what are the odds now? Chen asked, holding his chin. Now the odds of Heat in Game 6 are 1 minute and 1.25 seconds, and the odds of Spurs are 1 minute and 1.20 seconds. Is that all? Chen frowned, obviously dissatisfied with the odds. Well, after all, the two teams are of similar strength, the boss explained. That's true. What about the championship odds? Chen asked. The Heat's championship odds are 1:3, and the Spurs' championship odds are 1 minute and 1.3 seconds, the boss continued. It seems that the bookmakers are also optimistic about the Spurs. Chen joked. Well, the Spurs are indeed strong. The boss nodded. How about you think about it again? The boss was still trying to make a final persuasion. Chen knew their boss's good intentions. After all, he was just a high school graduate and he took 200,000 yuan and went all in to gamble on football. I don't know how many crazy football gamblers I have seen here. If you win, wash your feet and get a massage. If you lose, start your life over again. Boss, thank you for your kindness. I will go all in with $200,000 and buy the Heat championship. Chen said with a smile. Seeing that Chen had made up his mind, the boss said no more, just sighed heavily, and then began to operate skillfully. Would you like to pay in cash or by card? The boss asked in a heavy tone. Swipe the card. Chen took out the card Jing Xinyan gave him from his pocket without hesitation and handed it to the boss, adding, please hurry up, thank you. The boss took the card and after a moment of silence, seemed to want to make a final effort. He looked at Chen's young and determined face, and couldn't help but persuade him again, young man, are you really not going to think about it carefully? Why don't you go home and discuss it with your parents first? You can't make a hasty decision on such a big matter. Chen knew that his boss' words were well-intentioned, but he remained calm and composed, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised to reveal a smile, and responded, no, boss, I have thought it through clearly. Don't worry. Upon hearing this, the boss shook his head slightly, with an indescribable expression of helplessness on his face. I wondered why this 17 or 18-year-old boy was so stubborn. Didn't he know the harm of gambling? Wouldn't it be like this that my whole life would be ruined? Chen naturally knew what his boss was thinking at the moment, and could even imagine that in his eyes he might have become the kind of person who was about to jump into the river to commit suicide. But he didn't plan to explain too much, because sometimes the more he said, the more disadvantageous it might be. It would be better to let it go and let others mistakenly think that he was just an avid Heat fan. And judging from the current strength of the Heat, they do have a good chance of winning the championship this season. After all, a luxurious lineup consisting of 3 superstars is not easy to come by. Everything is so natural. Chapter 14, Save when you should, spend when you should. Chen walked out of the sports lottery store and prepared to go home. Chen was walking leisurely on the street, humming a little tune from time to time. After all, now all I have to do is wait quietly for the Heat to win the championship and for days to accumulate my first pot of gold in life. When I think of this, I feel so happy. Before he knew it, Chen arrived home. It's about 6 o'clock now. Dad and Mom should have just got off work and are on their way home. There's probably no one at home now. I didn't even have time to eat lunch because I was borrowing money. At this time, Chen's stomach was already growling. Smell the fragrance wafting over. Chen followed the smell and saw a fried food stall on the street. I haven't eaten egg pancakes for a long time. Chen came to Grandma Wang's egg pancake. Chen stood in front of the stall, staring at the golden, greasy egg pancakes. His throat rolled unconsciously and saliva flowed uncontrollably from the corners of his mouth. He took a deep breath, calmed himself, and then said to the old lady selling egg pancakes, "Hey, give me an egg pancake." The old lady asked, "Do you want anything to add?" Chen thought about it, licked his lips and said, "Add a chicken fillet and a starch sausage." "Okay, that's 10 yuan in total." The old lady calculated the bill skillfully and started making omelets. Chen nodded, took out the prepared money from his pocket and handed it over. Because when he went out at noon, he brought money with him to prevent himself from getting something for free like he did in the morning. I saw the old lady beating eggs and frying pancakes skillfully, while cutting chicken fillets and starch sausage into small pieces and frying them in the pan. Not long after, a steaming and fragrant omelette came out of the oven. Chen looked at the huge egg pancake in front of him, which was filled with chicken fillets and starch sausage. The old lady carefully put the omelette into a plastic bag, then folded a piece of newspaper and wrapped it around the omelette to avoid burning her hands. Chen couldn't wait to take the heavy omelette and took a bite. Although it was a little hot, the wonderful taste immediately spread in his mouth. The rich aroma of eggs mixed with the fragrance of chicken and sausage. Sure enough, it's still the familiar taste and the familiar recipe. In this way, Chen ate as he walked, sweating profusely on his head. Soon, Chen arrived home. Chen took out the key and entered the house. As expected, the house is still empty now. Chen was bored, so he lay on the sofa and turned on the TV. Just at this moment, there was a hurried sound at the door. "Son, come and help your daddy." It was the voice of his father Yifan. "I'm coming, Dad." Chen quickly stood up and walked towards the door. All I saw was large and small plastic bags around Chen. "Dad, what are these?" Chen asked puzzledly. "No, vegetables in the wholesale market are cheaper recently." Yifan wiped the sweat off his face and said, "Today, I got off work early, so your mother asked me to go to the wholesale market to buy some vegetables. It's exhausting." Chen helped carry the vegetables into their house. "Come, son, take a look at your father's spoils. They are all the food you and your mother like to eat." Yifan sat down on the sofa, holding a book on the coffee table, and fanning himself. Chen quickly poured a glass of water. Yifan picked up the water and drank it all in one gulp. Then he lay on the sofa, gasping for breath. "What did you buy?" Chen flipped through the plastic bag. Chen flipped through the list and felt warm at heart, as they were all his favorite foods. Looking at my father lying on the sofa, breathing heavily, fanning himself with a magazine, I couldn't help feeling mixed emotions and sadness. In my previous life, after I went to college, I was busy with studies, work, and hard work, and I went home less and less often. The tree wants to be still but the wind does not stop, the son wants to support his parents but they are no longer there. "Dad, there's no need for you to run so far to buy groceries just to save $12. Our family is not so poor that we have to be so frugal even with $12. Chen said, touching his nose. "Son, you don't run the household, so you don't know how expensive oil and salt are. Besides, you are going to college, and after you finish college, you will probably need money to find a job. After you find a job, you still need to spend money to date a girlfriend. To get married, you need to buy a house near your workplace, a dowry, a wedding banquet, and 3 kinds of gold. There will be many more places where we will need money in the future. So, save when you can, spend when you can." As he spoke, the smile on Yifan's face disappeared. Chen saw that his usually very optimistic father was a little depressed. "Dad, here we have our son. Don't carry all the burdens by yourself." Chen came behind Yifan, pinched Yifan's shoulder and said, "Yeah, har 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 har. Har 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 har." The two smiled at each other. Just when the father and son were talking and laughing, a familiar voice came from the door again. "Hey, hey, hey, someone come quickly." My mother Liu shouted at the door. Chen and his father Yifan came to the door. Then I saw my mother Liu carrying a lot of shopping bags. The expression on her face was quite proud. Seeing this scene, it couldn't be more familiar. The two looked at each other tacitly. Nothing was said, yet everything was said. "Don't just stand there. Help me carry it home," Liu said to the stunned father and son. Chapter 15. It's so good to be reborn. Here we are, here we are. Chen and his father Yifan came in, each carrying a bag. "Wow. It's quite heavy," Yifan said after weighing it. "What are you buying?" Yifan muttered as he unpacked the package and checked what was inside. "Oh my. It's summer already, why did you buy a down jacket?" Yifan shouted in surprise, while opening the package to reveal a black down jacket. "Oh my, this is why you don't know how to live." Liu took the black down jacket with pride and said to Yifan with a smile. Then she turned to Chen, "Come on, son, try it on and see if it fits." Then, Liu Shan took the down jacket and tried it on Yi Chen, his eyes full of anticipation and joy. Yi Chen stood there shyly, letting his mother do whatever she wanted. It's true. My son is so handsome. He looks good in anything he wears. Liu Shan looked at Yi Chen with satisfaction and praised him generously. Yi Chen felt a little embarrassed after being praised by his mother. He scratched his head and smiled. Mom, I haven't put it on yet. Yi Fan was still puzzled, but it's summer now, why buy winter clothes? He shook his head. This is what you don't understand. You have to buy winter clothes in the summer, and summer clothes in the winter. Only by buying in the opposite season can you buy clothes that are both good quality and affordable. Mom Liu confidently expressed her shopping philosophy. No, then you can also buy a down jacket in the middle of summer. No, Yi Fan, you are either not thinking straight or you are out of your mind. I've already said it, if it wasn't summer, do you think you could buy such a good down jacket for 300 yuan? Come, take a look for yourself. The original price of this down jacket is $999. Now it only costs 300 yuan to get it, it's really a good deal. Mom Liu Shan shouted anxiously. Wait, mother, didn't you call me at noon and tell me? The child is about to hold a graduation banquet. He will need money to go to college, and he will need money to start a family in the future. He will also need money to buy a house, right? Yi Fan asked doubtfully. Yes, that's right. That's why I asked you to go to the wholesale market to buy some vegetables, and I will be responsible for buying off-season clothes. This way, I can save hundreds of dollars. Liu Shan muttered to herself, while her hands were not idle. She quickly tied on her apron, turned around and walked into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Seeing this, Yi Fan naturally started to help with chores such as washing vegetables and dishes. However, he never stopped talking. Hey, Liu Shan, I think I need to have a good talk with you about this matter. Frankly speaking, your consumption concept has some problems. Oh hey, okay, then tell me what's wrong with my consumption concept. Mom Liu Shan rolled her eyes at Yi Fan and responded unhappily. We should buy it when we need it, it's never too late. Oh. Old man. Have you ever heard of preparing for a rainy day? If you don't plan ahead, you will have worries sooner or later. You are just making a fuss and changing the concept. Yi Chen looked at his parents in the kitchen, talking and laughing, and his eyes couldn't help but become moist. 10 years. In just 10 years, my parents have grown old so fast. In my previous life, I was always busy with my studies and working hard, and I forgot to go home often. The tree wants to be still but the wind does not stop, the son wants to support his parents but they are no longer there. He. Yi Chen just stood there grinning foolishly. After a heated discussion, the two old men in the kitchen found that neither of them could convince the other. Just then I saw Yi Chen standing there with a silly grin on his face. So, the two of them tacitly understood each other and diverted the impending war. Hey, silly boy, why are you grinning there? By the way, this dress is bought for you. Liu Shan said. Yes. This dress was bought for you, but now you are watching the show alone, Yi Fan also echoed. Damn, watching a show can also bring harm to innocent people. Yi Chen muttered. But Yi Chen was still quite happy. After all, my father is still in his prime and strong. My mother still loves beauty and is still very young. I don't dare to argue with my parents when I'm in my 30s. Should I still not dare to argue with my parents when I'm 18? After all, you don't have to worry about arguing with your parents and thus irritating them. Not burdened by life, you can act cute and spoiled with your parents. Nor will I have to watch my parents become old and gray-haired. It feels so good to be reborn. Yi Chen exclaimed. It's okay, Dad and Mom. You don't have to worry about money in the future. Yi Chen said confidently. Wow. Yi Fan and Liu Shan both let out a whoosh sound almost in sync. Kid, how come you have become like this since you came back from driving practice a few days ago? I know you won't believe anything I say now, but in one summer vacation, just one summer vacation, your son will make you look at him in a new light. Yi Chen said confidently. And then our family. At last. Yi Chen hadn't finished speaking yet. Yi Fan and Liu Shan stopped listening and busied themselves with dinner. Seeing that no one at home was listening to his entrepreneurial speech, Yi Chen had to pout and give up in disappointment. Chapter 16, I taught Harden how to shoot the step-back three-pointer. The family spent the evening talking and laughing. At around 10 o'clock, Chen washed up and went to bed early. In the early morning, the first ray of sunlight came through the window and gently sprinkled on the bedroom floor. Chen was still sleeping soundly, and the sunlight gradually climbed up his cheeks, warm and soft. His eyelashes trembled slightly under the sunlight, as if awakened by their warmth. Chen's face looked particularly ruddy under the sunlight, exuding a healthy luster. As the sun rose, their whole room was illuminated, and Chen slowly opened his eyes to welcome the beginning of a new day. Chen washed up quickly because his best friend Huang Qian asked him to go to the gym to play basketball today. The general meaning is that he saw the Spurs' Dan Green's three-point shooting was really amazing yesterday, which made him itchy, so he came out to play basketball and meet him at the same time. After all, they haven't seen each other for a long time. Even though they hadn't seen each other for just a week. Chen put on the number 23 James Cavaliers jersey from the closet and changed into a pair of basketball shoes. He took the money and went out. When I arrived at the basketball court in the gymnasium, I saw Huang Qian practicing three-pointers there. Da Huang. Chen waved and said, while running to the court where Huang Qian was. Oh my, I told you to call me Da Huang in private. There are so many people here. Calling me Da Huang is so embarrassing. Wow. You came so early. Chen said as he put his things on the chair. Of course. Have you ever seen Jiangnan province at 4 in the morning? Huang Qian said mysteriously. Wow. Stop showing off in front of me. Chen came to the corner of the three-point line, clapped his hands, and signaled to pass the ball. Here, catch it, bullet pass. Huang Qian shouted with a childish look on his face. Chen understood what he meant and caught the ball steadily. He took a deep breath, then lowered his shoulders, bent his legs slightly, and adjusted his center of gravity and posture. Immediately afterwards, Chen suddenly exerted force with his toes, and the power was transferred from his calves to his waist, and then gathered at his wrists. He flicked the ball lightly, and the basketball flew out like an arrow, drawing a beautiful arc in the air. Chen stared at the trajectory of the flying basketball, and an indescribable sense of familiarity surged in his heart. He murmured to himself, what a familiar feeling. Youth is really back again. Swish. With the crisp sound of the ball entering the net, the basketball went into the net without any suspense. Chen excitedly made an okay gesture and looked up to the sky to express his inner joy. Huang Qian, who was standing by, was surprised and praised, damn, you are really good. You must have practiced a lot secretly. You are almost as good as Dan Green. Chen raised the corner of his mouth slightly, touched his nose, and responded jokingly, I said, this is actually Stephen Curry's feeling, do you believe it? Huang Qian's eyes widened and he questioned, Curry. Curry's three-point shooting is indeed amazing, but he is too thin and weak, and he is easily injured. For a small guard like him, once he gets injured frequently, his speed advantage will be gone, and his strength will be greatly reduced. After saying that, Huang Qian thought about it and shook his head. Don't be anxious. Wait and see, let the bullet fly for a while. Chen did not argue. After all, there are only a few stars like Curry in NBA history. Especially for the current NBA league, Curry goes against the trend. Even I was not so optimistic about Curry's career prospects back then. Okay. Let's take another look. Huang Qian spun the ball and said, come on, let's duel. As usual, whoever loses buys the water. Har har. Boy, do you like buying water for me, your dad so much. Li Fan said with a smile. Well, it's still 21 points. Okay. So the man came and started a one-on-one challenge. Look at my fadeaway jumper. Look at my one-legged stand. Look at my kingly steps. Look at my 45-degree board hitting. The two of them fought back and forth. At this time the score was 19-20, Li Fan had 19 points, and Chen launched an attack. Damn, I'm so tired. Huang Qian said breathlessly, holding his knees with both hands. It's time for the final shot. Chen held the ball with both hands, ready to launch the final attack. A tentative step, then a quick return and a step-back three-pointer. The knife fell with a sudden movement. Chen did not put down his hand, but kept it in this position. Then a swish sound was heard. Hollow into the net. Huang Qian opened his mouth and said in disbelief, didn't you walk just now? Walking? Look carefully whether it is one step or two steps. Chen demonstrated again. This is also possible. Wang Qian said. Let me ask you, can you do a 3-step layup? Chen asked. Yes. How can I not do this? Wang Qian said as he demonstrated a 3-step layup. Look, 1 step, 2 steps. Right? Li Fan said. Then my step-back 3-pointer is the step-back version of the 3-step layup. Think about it again. Chen took the ball and demonstrated it to Wang Qian again. That seems to be the truth. Damn, Chen, you are simply a genius. Even many NBA stars don't know this trick. Wang Qian suddenly understood and said excitedly. Yeah, that's right. Chen nodded and said. In the future, if you see an NBA player using this step-back 3-pointer, please remember that I taught him. Chen started laughing as he spoke. Many years later, when Wang Qian saw James Harden use the step-back 3-pointer, he exclaimed, Damn, my brother Chen really taught Harden the step-back 3-pointer. Just when Wang Qian was training hard on this secret weapon, suddenly a voice came. Chapter 17. Can you return the love letter to me? Chen turned around and saw 2 girls, arm in arm. When Chen saw their figures, he felt that they looked so familiar. But I just couldn't remember it for a while. Chen, your secret crush is here. Director Wang Qian said to Chen, who was in a daze. Me? Goddess. Chen looked at Wang Qian with a puzzled look on his face. What's wrong with you? I've been feeling weird for a while. Wang Qian said to Li Yechen. Forehead. Chen finally remembered. When I was in high school, I seemed to have liked a girl named Lin Shefei. I remember it now. I remember it all. The girl with a ponytail and wearing a sports t-shirt and shorts is Lin Shefei, and the girl next to her is her best friend. What's her name? I really can't remember this. Chen. As for Lin Shefei, the reason why Chen remembered her was because he had been abandoned and used as a reservoir. After finishing the college entrance examination, he wrote a love letter to Lin Shefei. As for Lin Shefei, she neither refused nor agreed. But the two maintained close contact until they went to college. I heard that she found a rich second-generation man whose family is very wealthy. Just like that, Chen was thrown out of the fish pond. After some locks have been opened with the so-called golden keys, they seem to be covered with a layer of golden coat and stained with some gold powder, and then they begin to be self-indulgent and believe that they are also noble locks made of gold. However, reality is often cruel. As for their ending, the rich young man quickly found another beautiful woman with a unique style as his new lover in less than 3 months. The two broke up. After all, for this rich second generation, marriage is not the goal he is pursuing now. Enjoying life to the fullest is the true meaning of life. In that case, why not choose to have fun with beauties with different styles? Besides, these women are just passers-by in his life and will not become partners who accompany him for the rest of his life. Since you are not planning to marry her, of course you have to choose a young and beautiful girl as your companion. In this way, one covets the other's beauty, and the other covets the other's money. It can be said that they are birds of a feather. This just proves the truth that birds of a feather flock together. Just like some luxury stores clerks or salespeople often become older leftover women. The reason is that they do not have a clear understanding of themselves and mistakenly believe that they can easily cross class boundaries with their beauty alone. But in fact, time never spares anyone, and not everyone can keep the youthful appearance of 18 forever. And the 20% of people who control most of the world's wealth can definitely not monopolize 80% of the peerless looks. Lin Shefei is a typical example. She tried to enter the upper-class society with her beauty, but failed. I heard that in the end she didn't get married and went on many blind dates. I always compare myself with my boyfriends. This one is not rich enough, that one is not handsome enough. Anyway, I don't like him in any way. My standards are getting higher and higher, and I feel like I am not worthy of them. Now it seems that my vision back then was really not that good. It would have been better to give the love letter to Liu Ruyan in the first place. Hi. Wang Qian picked up the basketball and greeted. Lin Shefei and her best friend came to Chen and Wang Qian. Well, you guys are playing here too. Wang Qian saw that Chen had been silent, so he said to avoid embarrassment. Well, we were getting ready to go to the badminton court to play, but we didn't expect to run into you guys. Lin Shefei's best friend said. Really? What a coincidence. Wang Qian replied. Well, Yi Chen, you'd better not write me love letters anymore. Lin Xiaofei said. Oh. Got it. Yi Chen said lightly. That's it. Lin Xiaofei was a little surprised by Yi Chen's answer. What else? Yi Chen said with a pursed mouth. Just gone like that? Lin Xiaofei asked. Oh. Yi Chen held his chin and thought about it seriously. Lin Xiaofei saw that Yi Chen was thinking seriously and thought that Yi Chen wanted to apologize to her. Several people's eyes were fixed on Yi Chen. If you have to say there is, well, it really is, Yi Chen said, holding his chin and nodding. What? Well, please return the love letter I gave you to me. Yi Chen said seriously. What? How can a love letter that has been sent out be returned? Lin Xiaofei said with a frown. You said you didn't want me to send you a love letter, but I thought it would be a waste of love letter on you. It's just a piece of waste paper, but if I change the name on it and give it to someone else, then it's a way to make use of the waste. At the very least, it would be nice to give it to my mom. Maybe, if he's happy, he can even prepare a big table of delicious food for me. Yi Chen said with a smile, scratching his head as he spoke. For a moment, three faces were shocked. Wang Qian was wondering, is this still his brother? Are you so tough? Obviously, Lin Xiaofei was blocked by Yi Chen's words. How can I accept that the fish I have been raising now dare not listen to me? Well, Yi Chen, you are not completely without opportunities. There are still opportunities. It just depends on your performance. You need to actively strive for it. As long as you perform well enough, your chances are still very great. Lin Xiaofei said in a different tone. After Yi Chen listened to it, his first feeling was that it sounded so familiar. Why does it feel so much like when I was in graduate school? My supervisor always made empty promises when I was working, my boss always made empty promises. Yi Chen glanced at Lin Xiaofei and got goosebumps all over his body. This is typical of giving you some hope from time to time, making you feel that there is still a chance. Repeating this over and over again can really control people. Especially when I was 18 and knew nothing. But now I am in my 30s. If you still fall for it, you'd be an idiot. Chapter 18. Only the party and the people can test me. Lin Xiaofei was afraid that Yi Chen wouldn't believe it, so she continued to speak. Really, Yi Chen, you are definitely my priority now. So, Yi Chen, now you can't write love letters to other women, and you can't have any contact with other women. You can only have me in your heart. When hearing this, Yi Chen was almost laughing out of anger. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen anyone so shameless. You really think of yourself as the high and mighty Jinsuo. Neither Zheng Xinyan nor Liu Ruyan is prettier than her. There is no need to mention Liu Ruyan, she was crushed in all aspects. Zheng Xinyan is a little older than her. However, she has good skills. She is also at the age of 30, which is the most beautiful time for a flower. Besides, they have money and can support their own business. What does Lin Xiaofei have? Yi Chen, what I just said is true. When I go to college to date, you are definitely my best choice right now. It's just that I think you are more sincere now. For example, you shouldn't have asked me to return your love letter just now. Instead, you should have thought about how to make me willingly accept your love letter. Lin Xiaofei spoke to herself. At this moment, Yi Chen only thought of two words, har har. Oh my god. It turns out there was a Puxin woman in 2013. It's faster than Pu Shinan. Since you want to play so much, I will play with you, a common girl. So, according to what you mean, what I did just now was wrong, right? Yi Chen said with interest. When Lin Xiaofei heard Yi Chen say this, she didn't notice at all that Yi Chen's tone had changed. He said to himself, Yi Chen, it's right for you to think so. So, the first step you need to take is to cut off all contact with the opposite sex except me. Secondly, you should know that my rejection of you now is a test for you. In this way, if we are together in the future, our love will be purer and more holy. Forehead. When hearing this, Yi Chen was a little amused. What kind of vision did I have before? Surprisingly, I was kept in a fish pond by a girl like this. That's right, I'm in my 30s and my vision is not that good. Found a money recognizing gadget. I have to continue talking when I see Lin Xiaofei. Yi Chen interrupted and said, can I say a few words? Lin Xiaofei was somewhat surprised by this. Yi Chen actually interrupted her. However, seeing that there were other people present, it was hard to say anything. Well, what do you want to say? Yi Chen cleared his throat and said, first of all, falling in love is not like Tang Monk's journey to the west. There is no need to go through 81 difficulties. So, the setbacks and tests you just mentioned shouldn't exist. Yi Chen paused and continued, the second point is that taking the postgraduate entrance examination is not a test for you. In our country, only the party and the people are qualified to test me. You're not qualified yet. You're still a long way from here. So, if you think you like to test others so much, then please find someone else to test and hone yourself. I won't accompany you. Yi Chen is now too lazy to waste any time on this kind of woman. If you don't throw this kind of woman away now, do you take her home as a decoration? Should we worship them like our ancestors? Even when a beauty like Jing Xinyan came to his door, Yi Chen was still wondering if she would cause trouble for him afterwards. Would you still put your heart on a little brat? Do I have to spend all my energy to please her? Funny, right? Go wherever it's cool, and don't waste my time making money. At this time, Lin Xiaofei showed an expression of disbelief. Huang Qian and her best friend all showed expressions of disbelief. This is it. This is it. Huang Qian was also confused at this moment. How come my brother has changed so much in the past few days? After the college entrance examination, he told me that he had written a love letter to Lin Xiaofei. Planned to confess to her after some time. He also said that he could feel that Lin Xiaofei liked him. How come you rejected it so directly all of a sudden? At this time, Lin Xiaofei also opened her eyes wide and said in disbelief, Yi Chen, are you crazy because I rejected you? Some women always think they are pretty and all the men will surround them. Lin Xiaofei's words completely confused Yi Chen, who was reborn. I didn't expect what kind of woman could be so confident. Well, I think you are the one who is mentally disturbed. You should go to the hospital to treat your delusion. This time, Yi Chen has spoken very bluntly. If you can't hear it anymore, that's simply mentally retarded. However, at this moment Lin Xiaofei felt that Yi Chen was playing hard to get. Deliberately distance yourself to gain your own attention. As long as I make the slightest move, Yi Chen will definitely come running over. Yi Chen, please stop making trouble. I will just reject you tactfully next time. Lin Xiaofei said in a coquettish voice. Forehead. Why did I fall in love with such a woman before? Yes, if I were 18 years old, it would be easy for me to think that this is just a girl's way of acting coquettishly. I should express myself. However, Yi Chen is now a person who has opened his eyes to the world. Will you still fall for her tricks? At this moment, Yi Chen is no longer the young man he used to be. I have 10 years more experience than them. A woman is on top. She is no longer a virgin. Well, let me say it one last time. I, Yi Chen, have no interest in you at all now. I'm not interested at all. Let's just part ways amicably. Don't do this anymore. Yi Chen said very seriously and solemnly. At this moment, Yi Chen didn't want to have anything to do with this kind of woman. Chapter 19, the next one is better, the next one is more obedient. Lin Xiaofei almost exploded when she heard Yi Chen say this. Yi Chen, you actually dare to speak to me like that, are you still human? Yi Chen. I will never talk to you again. Lin Xiaofei said angrily. The scene was silent for a moment, and Huang Qian and Lin Xiaofei's best friend stared at Yi Chen and Lin Xiaofei. Yi Chen was already preparing to take Huang Qian away. Hearing this, Yi Chen turned around immediately. Lin Xiaofei was a little sad at first, but when she saw Yi Chen turned around because of her words. I still feel a little proud. Yi Chen. As expected, as long as I use a little trick, he will come back again. As expected. Men are always tough on the outside. What do you mean you don't like me? If you don't like me, you write me love letters. If you don't like me, you turn around as soon as I lose my temper. Lin Xiaofei's face was full of pride, and she looked superior as she waited for Yi Chen's apology. Are you sure you won't talk to me again? Yi Chen asked seriously. Seeing Yi Chen's serious expression, the pride in my heart grew even stronger. What's wrong with you? Didn't you say you don't like me anymore? Why are you looking back? Lin Xiaofei said with a pout. When Yi Chen saw Lin Xiaofei like this, he almost laughed. How come this girl is so confident? Yi Chen smiled evilly and said, didn't you just say that you would never talk to me again? Well, that's right, but you still have a chance. Lin Xiaofei was interrupted by Yi Chen before she finished speaking. Yi Chen laughed and said, okay, the previous sentence is enough. It's a deal. It's a deal. Har 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 har. Double happiness. Double happiness. After laughing, Yi Chen was afraid that she would regret it and said, Da Huang, do you have your cell phone with you? What are you doing? Wang Qian asked puzzledly. Lend it to me quickly. Give. Yi Chen took the phone, turned on the recording function and said, well, I know you are in a hurry, but don't be in a hurry. Well, why don't you say it again and I'll record it so you don't forget it and bother me later. Lin Xiaofei heard Yi Chen say this. She was so angry that she couldn't say anything. From childhood to adulthood, this was the first time a boy treated her like this. Hey, I've learned something this time. When Lin Xiaofei's best friend saw that Lin Xiaofei had run away, she naturally felt embarrassed to stay there any longer. So he politely said goodbye to Yi Chen and Wang Qian, and then caught up with Lin Xiaofei. I'll give it back to you. Yi Chen returned the phone to Wang Qian and said. What the hell is wrong with you lately? Wang Qian took the phone, stared at Yi Chen with suspicion and asked. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and raised the corners of his mouth. What's the matter? What do you want to say? What's wrong with me recently? Oh my, what can I say? I don't know why you would do this. Wang Qian changed the subject, patted Yi Chen on the shoulder and said with a smile, but buddy, I think you were so cool just now. So handsome. Yi Chen smiled proudly after hearing this. Har har, of course, don't you see who I am? I have always been super handsome, okay? Wang Qian continued, hey, brother, even though you are single again now, no, you were single to begin with, but at least you still had a chance to pursue Lin Xiaofei before, but now it's really impossible tilde. It's okay, the next one will be better and more obedient. Yi Chen curled his lips indifferently. At this time, Wang Qian said with a smile, however, based on your heroic performance today, today's water will be treated to you, buddy. Yi Chen didn't think much about it and agreed without thinking, okay. However, when the two of them arrived at the store, Yi Chen suddenly came to his senses something was wrong. Hadn't he just won the one-on-one game? Logically, he should be the one to pay for the meal. Now it feels like I owe him a favor. The two of them took some water and drank as they walked. Yi Chen looked at the strange yet familiar environment in front of him, and an indescribable feeling arose in his heart. Just then, Wang Qian spoke. Yi Chen, are you sure you don't want Lin Xiaofei to care about you anymore? There was a hint of worry in Wang Qian's tone. Although he actually agreed with Yi Chen's decision in his heart, he was still worried that Yi Chen would not be able to let her go. Yi Chen answered without hesitation, why bother with her? The next one will be better, and the next one will be more obedient. At this moment, Yi Chen no longer had any attachment to Lin Xiaofei. However, Wang Qian suddenly suggested, why don't you just reply to her message on QQ? Yi Chen's eyes suddenly widened and he questioned, come on, you guy, didn't you support me just now? Why are you asking me to go and get myself into trouble now? After saying that, Yi Chen stared straight at Wang Qian, as if he wanted to see a clue from his eyes. Facing Yi Chen's questioning, Wang Qian hurriedly shook his head and waved his hands, anxiously explaining, no, brother, what can I think about it? Yi Chen raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a sly smile. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Wang Qian as if he was judging a prisoner. He asked, oh? Really? I really don't care, bro, Wang Qian stuttered. No, do you like that girl? Right? Yi Chen suddenly thought of something and asked. Well, how did you know that? Wang Qian said with his head down. Who is this girl? I can't recognize her. Yi Chen tried to recall carefully, but still couldn't remember. She is Lin Xiaofei's classmate in high school. She is in the class downstairs from us. Her name is Zhongshan. Wang Qian answered immediately. Oh. I didn't realize that you investigated so thoroughly. Yi Chen joked. Chapter 20 You can, but I can't. He. Wang Qian scratched his head a little embarrassedly and said. Why, are you planning to confess your feelings too? Yi Chen said with a smile. No, brother, to be honest, I think Wang Qian lowered his head, hesitating and not saying anything. What's wrong? When did you become such a sissy? Why are you so hesitant? Chen joked. Well, brother, I'm not like you, with such good grades. My grades are average, and my parents are also workers. Zhongshan is not only beautiful, but also has good grades. I'm not worthy of her at all. The more Huang Qian spoke, the lower his head became, and his voice became smaller and smaller, as if he didn't have the confidence to finish what he said. Chen patted Huang Qian on the shoulder, nodded and said, now you are one step closer to Zhongshan. R. Huang Qian's face was filled with shock and disbelief when he heard what Chen said. Why? Huang Qian asked with a puzzled look on his face. The greatest progress for a person is to fully understand himself. I am very pleased that you are now deeply aware of your own shortcomings. Chen said with a smile and nodded in approval. R. No, brother, is there anyone like you who comforts others? Huang Qian said with a pursed mouth. What I said is true, don't disbelieve it. Listen to me and I will tell you. Chen said, looking at Huang Qian's confused eyes. Well, tell me. Huang Qian said with his eyes that had never been polluted by knowledge. People. The most important thing is to have self-knowledge. It is not shameful to recognize your own shortcomings. Only when you know where you are not good enough can you have a direction to work hard on. Huang, don't you think so? Chen said earnestly. After hearing what Chen said, Huang Qian was instantly filled with confidence. Thank you, brother. After you said that, I instantly feel full of confidence. I feel that the future is full of hope. Huang Qian's eyes were filled with light again. Well, brother, tell me more about what I can improve on. Brother, I really want to make progress. Huang Qian looked at Chen with bright eyes. R. Such an outrageous request. Chen was also somewhat surprised by Huang Qian's action. Then I'm telling you, you need to be mentally prepared. Chen patted Huang Qian's shoulder and said earnestly. Well, brother, tell me. I really want to improve. Chen swallowed, took a deep breath and said, not only are you bad at studying and have bad grades, but you also can't make money and you're even ugly. You are not only not excellent, you can also not pursue excellence, and you can even be stupid. As Chen spoke, Huang Qian nodded in approval. That's absolutely right. It turns out that I still have so much room for improvement. The room for improvement is really huge. Huang Qian silently remembered what Chen had just said. Seeing Huang Qian listening so seriously, Chen was very pleased and continued, but I can't. Huang Qian had been nodding until he heard these words. He was completely dumbfounded and stunned, as if he didn't believe what Chen had just said. Fuck you, Chen, you took advantage of me. Huang Qianqi was so angry that he wanted to beat Chen. At this moment, Huang Qian didn't know who he was or where he was. He only knew that he was going to kill people. Chen quickly dodged and then ran away. Huang Qian is outputting crazily in the back. Damn it, Huang Qian, you are my beloved relative, friend, brother. Chen ran, laughed and talked. Just like that, he was running, he was chasing, he was laughing, he was cursing. However, what he just said was indeed what Chen really thought. After all, only if he was strong enough could he protect the people around him. Therefore, from the moment of rebirth, this life is destined to be extraordinary. Therefore, Huang Qian can be an ordinary person in this life, but I can't. I am destined to be the man who changes the world and to reach the top of the world. Of course, if I become rich, how could I forget my brothers? By then, everyone will be prosperous. Naturally, Rhubarb also ascended to heaven. Chen secretly vowed in his heart, Huang, as long as I have a big chicken leg to eat, I will definitely give you a chicken bone in the end. This is my promise to you. The love between brothers is stronger than gold and cannot be broken. I am afraid that my brothers will suffer, but I am also afraid that my brothers will drive a Land Rover. Chen almost moved himself. In this way, one of them was tired of running, and the other was tired of chasing. I found a chair and rested for a while. Dry the sweat off your body for a while. Then the two of them got on the bus to go home. The two of them were sitting on the bus. Chen leaned against the window, looking at the city scenery outside. In just 10 years, I didn't expect that this small county would undergo such earth-shaking changes. Chen murmured to himself. Brother, what are you talking about? What 10 years? You have only lived for 18 years in total. Wang Qian asked puzzledly. You don't understand, but when you grow up, you will understand. Yi Chen said in a pretentious manner. Wang Qian didn't say anything, just pouted. I always feel that Yi Chen has changed and become more and more impressive. Chapter 21, If you work hard enough, you can grind an iron rod into a needle. Brother, are you really not pursuing Lin Xiaofei anymore? Wang Qian asked. Chase. Brother, are you sure this is a chase? Yi Chen looked at Wang Qian and asked. If this isn't chasing girls, then what is it? Wang Qian asked. After hearing this, Yi Chen shook his head and said earnestly, this is not chasing, this is licking, do you know? Lick. Wang Qian was a little confused. Can you chase a girl by licking her? Wang Qian continued. Forehead. Brother, is it illegal to lick a girl? Wang Qian said worriedly. Forehead. For a moment, Yi Chen didn't know what to say. Yi Chen cleared his throat and said, Da Huang, promise me that you won't be a bootlicker. A good girl who doesn't like you will just reject you. Lin Xiaofei neither refuses nor agrees. This is a typical example of raising fish. Women like this think they can manipulate men at will and will ignore you at any time. So, as former young pioneers, we absolutely cannot go. Oh. I understand, brother. Wang Qian said with sudden enlightenment. Wow. You understood it so quickly, that's not easy. Yi Chen was also a little surprised. After all, this word seems to be the Baidu Bar of 2016. I didn't expect that my brother would open his eyes to the world so soon. It's 11 years ahead of the national server. Yi Chen's face was full of relief at this time. Tell me. What do you understand? Yi Chen said. Well, brother, as long as you work hard enough, you can grind an iron rod into a needle. As long as you lick it long enough, you will succeed sooner or later, Wang Qian said confidently. When Yi Chen said this, his jaw almost dropped to the ground. This little brother of mine is not simple. His thoughts have gone astray. This is simply trying to become the king of dogs. Forehead. Wang Qian looked at Yi Chen at this moment, swallowed his saliva and said, Brother, you said you have licked it so many times, will the result be different if you lick it again? Forehead. It seems that all the things I said just now were in vain. Yi Chen did not rush to reply him, but looked out the window and said leisurely, Re-watching a movie will give you new feelings and experiences, but the ending will not change. Wang Qian was shocked when he heard this. Did this brother of mine say this? This is too cultured. His status was raised immediately. Wang Qian quickly took out his cell phone and fiddled with it. What are you doing? Yi Chen looked at Wang Qian and said. Brother, what you just said was really impressive. I'm afraid I'll forget it, so I'll change it to my QQ signature. So Wang Qian's QQ signature became, Re-watching a movie will give you new feelings and experiences, but the ending will not change. Wang Qian was very happy. Such an awesome sentence now belonged to him. I can't show off in front of Yi Chen, but I can show off in front of other people. After Wang Qian finished writing his QQ signature, he looked at Yi Chen who was looking out the window, and felt that his brother was very cool. When did his brother become so cool? Perhaps it was because of various external reasons in Yi Chen's previous life that Yi Chen's literary talent was suppressed. Now that he has been reborn and his nature has been liberated, he can utter such sexy words one after another. It is true. Preserve the principles of heaven and eliminate human desires. I don't know how many geniuses' thoughts have been destroyed. After hearing what Yi Chen had just said, Wang Qian felt more and more that his brother must have felt that he could not pursue Lin Xiaofei, so he said these words to cover up the hurt in his heart. As expected. Men. They always bear the pain in their hearts by themselves. Wang Qian felt that Yi Chen was in great pain at this moment. His heart must be bleeding at this moment, but he was just being stubborn and unwilling to say it out. Wang Qian looked at Yi Chen looking out the window, feeling very uncomfortable. I don't know how to persuade my brother to get out of the swamp of pain. I thought about it for a long time. She sang softly and emotionally, it's not a sin for a man to cry. Even the strongest man has the right to feel tired. Chapter 22 The most important thing for a man. When Yi Chen heard Wang Qian singing this song, he felt that his brother Wang still didn't understand him. He sighed, patted Wang Qian on the shoulder, and said earnestly, Da Wang, do you know what is the most important thing for a man? Wang Qian pursed his lips and thought for a while. Suddenly, a lewd smile appeared on his face, and then he looked at Yi Chen, swallowed his saliva and said, "Brother, this is not good." As soon as Yi Chen saw Wang Qian's obscene smile, he knew that this guy was probably thinking of something wrong again. He slapped him on the forehead and said, "Damn it, what are you thinking at such a young age? Oh my god, it hurts. It hurts." Wang Qian covered his head and muttered softly. "Then tell me, what is the most important thing for a man?" Wang Qian said with a pout. He. He. A man doesn't have to be handsome, but he can't be without money. Yi Chen stared at Wang Qian and said seriously. Forehead. After Wang Qian heard this, he said thoughtfully, "Why is money the most important thing for a man?" Yi Chen did not answer in a hurry, but asked back, "What do you think is the most attractive thing about you to a girl you like? So, let's take Zhongshan as an example. Which of your moves do you think can attract her?" Wang Qian was stunned when he heard what Yi Chen said. Finally, I managed to say, "I like her very much." Then her whole face turned red. After hearing this, Yi Chen didn't say anything else. Because Wang Qian still has the fixed mindset of a high school student. If you tell him more now, he won't believe it. It's not too late to talk to him when the time comes. Yi Chen just stared into the distance, looking at the houses, and had already made up his mind. It is now 2013 and house prices have actually started to rise. But there is no way around it, since Yi Chen traveled to 2013. If I could travel back to the 1990s and buy a house in Shenzhen or Pudong, Shanghai, I would have become rich long ago. Oh, I forgot. If that were the case, I wouldn't be reborn, but would be traveling through time. After all, I was nothing at that time. However, it's not too late to buy now. If I remember correctly, housing prices will probably not peak until 2021. It is not too late to get on board now, especially with the price increase in 2015 to clear inventory. Now I have about a year and a half to achieve my first small goal. Brother, what are you thinking about? Wang Qian patted Yi Chen on the shoulder and said. What's wrong? We're almost at the station. Wang Qian prepared to get up. Oh. Afterwards, the two got off the car and found a spicy hot pot restaurant to have lunch. After all, my parents are at work and the refrigerator is empty. There is nothing to eat when I go home. After all, as long as I am not dead after the college entrance examination, it will be fine. The two of them ordered some food and found a seat to wait. Brother, why don't you contact Lin Xiaofei again? Wang Qian said with a smile. Looking at the smiling face of Wang Qian, Yi Chen always felt nervous and got goosebumps. No, don't you think it's cool that I rejected her? Yi Chen said as he picked up a tissue and wiped the chopsticks. No, I think Lin Xiaofei is just a little willful and capricious, but everything else about her seems pretty good. Wang Qian said as if he was considering Yi Chen. Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at Wang Qian without saying anything. He just looked at Wang Qian quietly. Wang Qian felt a little embarrassed when Yi Chen stared at him. No, brother, is there something dirty on my face? Wang Qian said as he wiped his face with his hand. There's nothing on his face, it's very clean, but some people. I don't know what they are thinking. Yi Chen said with a smile. What are you thinking about? Wang Qian asked with a puzzled look on his face. Let me guess and see if I'm right. Yi Chen said in a pretentious manner. Tell me, what could I be thinking about? Wang Qian swallowed and sat up straight. I didn't realize that you care so much about Lin Xiaofei. You even know that she is willful and capricious. Why do you speak up for her like this? Yi Chen joked. What can I think? I'm afraid you'll regret it later. Regretting not insisting on licking it today, Wang Qian replied quickly. He also used the new words Yi Chen had just taught him today. I don't think so. Is it because of Zhongshan? Yi Chen went straight to the point. No. Wang Qian quickly shook his head, but was interrupted by Yi Chen before he could finish his words. Are you worried that if I don't pursue Lin Xiaofei, you will have no chance to contact Zhongshan again? Yi Chen said while staring at Wang Qian, who was shaking his head like a rattle. No. Everything I do is for you. Brother, my best brother. Brother, you really judge others by your own standards. Brother, you have such a dirty heart. Wang Qian said, deliberately raising his voice. But I was muttering in my heart, damn, you are really good at judging people. Really? That would be great. Some things, just think about them, don't take them too seriously. As time went by, Chen gradually remembered more about Zhongshan. However, it is also very rare. In Chen's memory, Zhongshan didn't seem to be a good person either. She seemed to have had several boyfriends in college, and after graduation she became the mistress of an uncle 20 years older than her. Soon she gave birth to a child. Chen was not very clear about what happened afterwards. However, it seemed that his brother had also spent some money on her. Of course, Chen couldn't ask directly about this matter. After all, Wang Qian and Zhongshan were both unmarried at the time. Chapter 23, Imaginary College Life. Just as the two were chatting, the spicy hot pot was served. The two of them ate and chatted. As we chatted, the topic turned to university. After all, after the college entrance examination, their grades would definitely be enough to ensure they could go to college. Chen, what do you think college life will be like? That's it. Chen said with a pursed mouth. How do you know that's the case? You talk like you've been to college. Wang Qian said. You know what, I've actually slept with my brother before. Chen said with a smile. Blow, blow. Blow as hard as you can. If you go to college, then from elementary school to junior high school and then to high school, doesn't that mean I'm also going to college? Wang Qian obviously didn't believe it. Chen knew that Wang Qian didn't believe it, so he spread his hands and said, if you don't believe it, then it's none of my business. Well, I heard that college girls are much prettier than high school girls. Wang Qian said excitedly. Forehead. Why did you get away from Zhongshan so quickly? Chen joked. What nonsense are you talking about? Isn't Zhongshan also going to become a college girl from a high school girl? Wang Qian explained. Chen took a sip of the hot soup, slowly put down the spoon, and said seriously, in fact, college girls are not necessarily prettier than high school girls. Wang Qian heard this and a puzzled look appeared on his face. He jokingly said, oh? What, you understand again? Seeing this, Chen calmly explained, really? At least the girls in high school are younger, right? Wang Qian still didn't seem to understand what Chen meant, and asked, that being said, why aren't high school girls as pretty as college girls? Chen helplessly looked at Wang Qian, who was full of fantasies, and sighed, saying, it's all because of the makeup and beauty. Wang Qian suddenly understood after hearing this. He nodded and said, well, I can understand the power of beauty filters, but does makeup really have such great magic? Chen was obviously a little speechless about Wang Qian's doubts. He patted him on the shoulder and said earnestly, hey, as the saying goes, it takes for years to hone a skill, and only practice makes perfect. Chen paused and continued, after long-term practice, my makeup skills can be called the art of disguise. Chen became more and more excited as he spoke. No, to be exact, once you reach the Mahayana stage, you can change your face directly. Hearing this, Wang Qian finally understood, gave a thumbs up, looked at Chen with admiration, and exclaimed, wow! My brother Chen is really knowledgeable. That's not necessary. Chen was not polite. Well, I also heard something else. Wang Qian said while eating. What's the matter? Chen felt it necessary to instill some basic common sense for college students in his brother before he went to college. For example, you can choose to skip compulsory courses, but you must skip elective courses. It's not too late to review the textbook at the end of the semester. Don't listen to the nonsense from seniors and teachers. University is a small society. Don't trust anyone too much. Do things that are truly beneficial to you, and do less meaningless things. Well, I heard that college homework is very easy. The teacher has always told us that we can have fun as much as we want after entering college, Wang Qian asked. Not entirely. It depends on the professional and personal situation. Chen thought for a moment and replied. For example, if you study medicine or law, you'll be in trouble. If you persuade someone to study medicine, will you be struck by lightning? If you persuade someone to study law, will you be cut into pieces? Is this true? Is it so serious? Wang Qian was obviously a little surprised. Chen looked at Wang Qian's surprised expression and sighed. This is the true portrayal of most students after the college entrance examination. I know nothing about the profession, and due to the limitations of my original family, the information I can get is very little. Before the college entrance examination, I only thought about the college entrance examination and never thought about what I wanted in my life. When I went to college and studied a major I didn't like, I was helpless. Either the major you studied is not needed in the job market or it is outdated. When I graduated, I couldn't find a job, and my school teachers urged me to find one. 3,000 yuan can't find a migrant worker, but it can find a group of college students. Some people can't even find a job. Finally, I can only take the postgraduate entrance examination, the civil service examination, and the exam for the editor. Trapped in an endless cycle, bottomless. Brother, what major are you going to choose in college? Chen asked. Just name one. Chen replied. For Chen, it doesn't matter what major he studies in college. Because he could achieve financial freedom before graduating from college. Wait, at this time, Chen suddenly remembered that his brother majored in journalism in college. Then after graduation, I couldn't get into TV station at all. Afterwards, he joined a magazine company and earned a meager salary. Well, brother, I plan to study journalism in college. I want to be a reporter, expose the darkness of society, and speak for the lower class. As he spoke, Chen's eyes were filled with light. Sure enough. Whatever you fear, it will come true. Chen muttered to himself. Well, why do you think that if you study journalism, you can become a reporter after graduation? Chen did not point it out directly, but tried to persuade Chen to avoid this pit. I haven't thought about it. Chen was speechless for a moment. As expected. Ordinary people simply don't have any channels to know so much information. Everything is based on your own assumptions. Chapter 24: Buying a TV station to help Chen fulfill his dream. Chen looked at Chen, who was full of passion at this moment, and his eyes were still full of light. Da Huang, do you believe me? Chen looked at Chen seriously and said. Believe it? Why not? You and I are half-brothers. Chen said with a grin. Seeing Chen saying this, Chen felt warm in his heart. Because, in his previous life, Chen always supported him no matter what time it was. When he needed money to buy a house, Chen lent him the only 100,000 yuan he had without hesitation. Including when I was a graduate student and when I went abroad for academic exchanges. It just so happened that his father was in poor health, so Chen came to help his parents. Just for these points, in this life, I must help Chen and avoid the pitfalls in life. After all, you have to walk the road of life by yourself. However, I am confident that as long as I am around, Chen will live a good life. Chen pursed his lips and said, well, I suggest you don't choose journalism as your major. Chen said directly. Why? Brother, I heard from experts that journalism is a very good career. Chen asked in confusion. Expert. When Chen heard the word expert, he was completely incredulous. When Chen said he didn't believe it, Chen explained, experts say that journalism is a field that can be used for both literary and martial arts. The mainstream media is still an industry that can absorb employment. If you want to advance, you can start your own business or work for a large internet company. If you want to retire, you can take the civil service exam and work for a state-owned enterprise. Forehead. Chen sighed at this time and looked at Chen's hopeful eyes. Just said one sentence, is there anyone at home? No one. Chen said truthfully. Then how do you think you can get the job you just mentioned? How do you think you can be a journalist? Or, how can you think you can work in a TV station? Chen's series of questions made Chen unable to respond. Just like that, Chen didn't say anything and ate the spicy hot pot in the bowl silently. Chen looked at Chen, who was eating by himself. I felt a little uncomfortable, as if it was too early for him to know the cruelty of this society. However, these were the pitfalls I made in my previous life, and I really couldn't bear to let my brother take a defeat. Chen pondered for a long time, then said seriously, brother, I really want to study journalism. Looking at Chen's determined eyes. Chen also knew that he couldn't persuade him. It seems that nothing has changed because of me. Chen shook his head helplessly. Brother, are you angry because I didn't listen to you? Chen looked at Chen, blinking his big eyes and said pitifully. No, it's good. Study hard in college. Yi Chen shook his head and said, "Well, that's a must. I must make good money so that my parents don't have to work so hard." Wang Qian nodded and said. Yi Chen looked at Wang Qian's burly appearance and knew that although this guy looked scary, he had a good heart. "It doesn't matter. Anyway, I have you in this life. It doesn't matter what school you go to or what major you choose. With me here, everything can be solved. If it doesn't work, I'll just buy him a TV station in the future. It's the end of his dream." Let Wang Qian also feel what a relationship is. The two of them looked at each other and laughed. "Good brother, once we agreed, it's a lifetime." Suddenly, there was the sound of an incoming message on the cell phone. Wang Qian quickly turned on his phone, then shook his head and said, "It's not my phone ringing." However, Yi Chen looked around and found that there was no one else present except the two of them. However, the strange sound was clearly nearby. Yi Chen then followed the direction of the sound and finally found that the sound actually came from the bag he was carrying. I opened the bag and was surprised to find that it was my cell phone making the sound inside. "Brother, didn't you say you didn't bring your cell phone?" Wang Qian asked curiously. Yi Chen then remembered that he had no pockets in the morning, so he just put his phone into his bag. However, as he became more and more interested in playing basketball, he completely forgot about the existence of the phone. Yi Chen quickly picked up his phone, unlocked the screen, and what came into his sight was a message from Lin Shefei. "Yi Chen, I will never talk to you again." When Yi Chen saw this, he couldn't help laughing. He thought, she is still an 18-year-old girl, so young. It would be fine if the message ended here, but the problem is that Yi Chen and Lin Shefei have just confronted each other face to face, and now he received another text message like this. What does this mean? Could it be that she still firmly believed that she would continue to be a willing fish in her pond? Yi Chen had seen this kind of old-fashioned routine many times. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help laughing out loud. But when I think about it carefully, it is indeed 11 years ago now, and this routine seems to be quite popular. Wang Qian saw Yi Chen laughing there, and his curiosity was instantly aroused. Naturally, he followed to join in the fun. Chapter 25, Brother, watch out, I will only do this once. Yi Chen did not stop it. After all, it was a new phone and there was nothing shameful about it. If it were my previous life, I would never show my phone to others. After all, there are so many teachers in it. How embarrassing it would be if so many study materials that have been treasured for many years were discovered. Wait, after I was reborn from my previous life, it seems like the things on my phone have not been deleted. Damn, this is so shameful. At this moment, Yi Chen felt a little regretful. Why didn't he format his phone before his rebirth? It seems that formatting can be restored, so the phone should be physically destroyed. Yi Chen's face was filled with regret at this moment. He thought that the contents of his phone would be made public and his reputation would be ruined. Yi Chen looked at Wang Qian, who was full of expectation, and smiled. When I was in college, whenever someone in a dormitory fell in love, there would be a group of strategists around to help and give advice. But the more people don't have a girlfriend, or even have never been in a relationship, the more they like to teach others how to fall in love. For example, Wang Qian at this moment. Brother, if you are a little more enthusiastic towards her, maybe she will agree to be with you. Brother. Wang Qian pretended to be very knowledgeable. Yi Chen looked at Wang Qian and said, Brother, I have something to say to you. What are you talking about? Yi Chen patted his little brother on the shoulder and said meaningfully, money is for women to see, not to spend on women. Got it. After Wang Qian heard this, he instantly felt that this sentence was so high class. When did my brother say something so arrogant? I quickly wrote it down so I can show off to college later. After recording, he said to Yi Chen with a puzzled look on his face, Brother, what does this have to do with you now? Yi Chen said slowly, Don't be anxious. I haven't finished speaking yet. Women are attracted by attraction, not by licking. After Wang Qian heard it, he recorded it down again. After all, second-hand pussy can be useful. Brother, what are you going to do? Wang Qian said as he looked at the message from Lin Shefei. Watch carefully, I'll show you once. Yi Chen said with a smile. Afterwards, Wang Qian saw Yi Chen leisurely type out a word, oh. Just this one word made Wang Qian stunned. Lin Shefei sent so many messages, but Yi Chen just typed oh. There was a hint of disbelief in Wang Qian's clear yet stupid eyes. After a long while, he finally said, Brother, you are really awesome. For a moment, the dialog box above showed the words, typing, but it quickly disappeared. Not long after, it showed the words, typing again, but disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. It kept flashing over and over again. Finally, a message popped up. Chen, what do you mean? Can you explain it more clearly? Then there was another one. How can it be that you only replied with an "oh"? Chen looked at the message sent by Lin Shefei, his mouth slightly raised. He knew in his heart that Lin Shefei was really anxious this time. And once she was anxious, it meant that she had fallen into a disadvantage. It was true. After all, she was still too young. Can't keep calm. Chen secretly sighed. Young people still need more experience. After reading the message, Chen put his phone on the table as if nothing had happened, and continued to eat with peace of mind. Brother, why don't you reply to my message? Wang Qian, who was standing by, couldn't sit still anymore and looked extremely anxious. This really proves the saying that the emperor is not anxious, but the eunuch is. Don't be anxious, let her calm down first. Let's eat first, filling our stomachs is the most important thing. Chen answered slowly while eating without raising his head. He saw Wang Qian sitting there, not moving his chopsticks, so he urged him, eat quickly, the spicy hot pot will not taste good if it gets cold. Oh. Okay. Just don't regret it, Wang Qian said with a pout. About 10 minutes later, we were almost done eating. Chen wiped his mouth and then picked up his phone. When I opened my phone, I saw a lot of unread messages. Sure enough, they were all sent by Lin Shefei. It's nothing more than some "I'll never talk to you again. As long as you apologize, I will forgive you." Chen looked at him and replied with a smile. "I'm sorry, I love you very much, but I found that I seem to have fallen in love with another woman, and I am very painful now." When Chen looked up, he saw Wang Qian reaching up to look and almost climbing onto the table. "Brother, what did you say?" Wang Qian wished his head could be longer. Chen threw the phone directly in front of him, and Wang Qian hurriedly took a look. Shock was written all over his face. After putting down the phone, he took a deep breath and said, "Brother, when did you find a girl you like again?" "What do you mean by again?" "I'm not married, so why can't I like someone?" "It's not illegal to like someone." Chen replied. "No, brother, given Lin Shefei's personality, she will be furious if you say that. You may never get it." Wang Qian shook his head, still thinking that his brother had done something wrong. He returned the phone to Chen. "Don't worry, she will reply soon." Chen took the phone. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Shefei sent him a message. "Who do you like?" Chen typed a few words. "You." "I know, I mean the other girl you like." "Sorry, no comment." While the dialog box was still showing typing, Chen directly blocked Lin Shefei. Then Chen turned off his phone. Wang Qian was right next to Chen and witnessed the whole process. I feel more and more that this guy is so familiar with the whole process. Chapter 26, Play with the bad guys, and be content with the good guys. We've almost finished eating. We can go now. Chen stood up and prepared to leave. Yeah. Wang Qian nodded. So Chen went straight to the counter and said, "Pay the bill." "Okay, sir, a total of 27 yuan. Chen was a little surprised to hear the price, and secretly sighed in his heart. The price 10 years ago was so low. A mere 27 yuan is enough for two 18-year-old boys to eat a full meal. After Chen paid the bill, he found that Wang Qian was nowhere to be found. Just as he was looking around, his phone suddenly received a message from Wang Qian, which read, "Wait for me for a moment." At this moment, the weather in Jiangnan province was extremely hot, and the temperature outside was about 30 degrees. Chen had no choice but to stay in the Malatang restaurant and wait for Wang Qian to return. Not long after, Wang Qian walked into the store carrying a large bag of things. Seeing this, Chen asked curiously, "Where did you go just now?" Wang Qian chuckled and replied, "Well, I saw a snack shop next to me, so I bought some snacks. We can eat while playing games in the internet cafe this afternoon." After that, he took out a bright brick from his bag and handed it to Chen, urging him, "Eat it quickly. The weather is so hot, it will melt if you don't finish it quickly." Chen looked at the bright brick in his hand, his mind full of memories. "I haven't eaten it for a long time." Took a bite. Wow. It still tastes the same as it did back then. It has tea changed? No, this is from that year. No matter. So the two of them ate and walked towards the internet cafe. Chen still remembers it was a week before the college entrance examination. Chen said to himself, after the college entrance examination, I must go to the internet cafe to play. It's not that there is no computer at home. Perhaps only in this way can I feel the joy of adulthood. It is also a small form of rebellion. After all, when I was in high school, teachers and parents did not allow me to go to places like internet cafes and bars. Now that I am an adult and the college entrance examination is over, I can satisfy my curiosity that has been lingering for many years. Walking into the internet cafe. Chen and Chen found a corner where there were fewer people. Chen turned on the computer skillfully and waited quietly for it to turn on. Compared to Chen's proficiency, Chen was a little unfamiliar at the beginning and was still looking for the switch of their host. Chen couldn't bear to watch it any longer, so he pulled Chen to his seat. Then he pressed the switch next to him, and the computer turned on. Oh my god. Brother, you are so awesome. Chen looked at Chen and turned on the computer right away. Chen looked at him unhappily, pursed his lips and said, there's a switch next to it, can't you see it? Forehead. Chen smiled to hide his embarrassment. The two turned on their computers, opened League of Legends, and began a fierce battle. Come and stay here with me. Don't worry, Da Huang. I'm here to save you. Here it comes, watch me kill this blind monk alone. Move, har, I can't hit him at all. Come to me, here I come. Perfect, just one wave. Nice, Ness, win, har. It's great, it's so great. That wave just went so well. The two of them were laughing there, and the smiles on their lips couldn't match each other at all. Just when the two were waiting for the match, Chen took off his headphones and turned on his phone. Then he opened his mouth, swallowed, and handed the phone to Chen. What's wrong? Chen took off his headphones and said. Chen pouted and gestured. Chen took the phone and looked at it. It turned out that they were all messages sent by Lin Xiaofei. Chen, is Chen next to you? Chen, tell me, besides me, Chen also likes that girl. Asshole Chen, you blocked me. Chen, tell Chen that my patience is limited. Chen now really wondered how this girl could be so confident in her charm. Feeling that it was almost done, he returned the phone to Chen. Open your phone and cancel the block. Then he typed, I'm sorry, I really don't know how to face you. Chen refused and blocked the message, then cancelled the message and apologized. Chen was completely stunned. No, brother, what are you doing? Chen put down his phone and said, didn't I do everything according to her request? What else can I do? Brother, you must have made Lin Xiaofei completely confused by what you did. Not only is she confused, I am confused too. Brother, I'm still curious, why did you apologize again? Chen pursed his lips and said, according to Lin Xiaofei's idea of raising fish, after I go to college, she will definitely kick me out of the fish pond within half a year. Forehead. Brother, do you understand now? Chen asked confusedly. We still have nearly 2.5 months before school starts, right? Chen asked back. Yeah, that's right, normally college doesn't start until September. Since she'll kick me out of the fish pond before she goes to college, I'll take her down during the summer vacation. As for what happens after entering college, that will be 2 months later. In this way, there is a woman to accompany him every day, hug his waist, kiss his lips, and even. With Chen's current means and experience, it would be easy for him to control her. By that time, he would probably be able to eat Lin Xiaofei until not even a bone was left. That luck. You have to open it when you need to. Then, after eating and touching each other, they sat and waited for separation. After all, the ancestors once said, if you encounter bad things, just have fun with them, but if you encounter good things, focus on them, and fully adapt and maximize resources.